Hello and welcome to the World GT Championship live on Apex Racing TV and live on the iRacing eSports network. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick and alongside me is Andrew Woodhouse with Sam Kume on the cameras, and we're here at the fantastic Watkins Glen circuit for an hour and 45-minute race. Whether it's the penultimate round of the championship, we are properly getting into the business end of this season. It's ever so close in the championship, and we do know that in these endurance rounds you can have a big swing of points. It's going to be absolutely crucial what the results are today.
Yeah, hello everybody. Watkins Glen's a fantastic place for a race, isn't it? And it's a really crucial part of the championship to be coming here, and that means that I think we're only going to see some fantastic race today. An hour and 45 minutes is certainly quite a long time to be concentrating around the track like this, because you can easily make a lot of mistakes, and we're hoping that the drivers will manage to keep it clean throughout.
Yeah, absolutely. Plenty of opportunity to have a big off, particularly around the boot section of the track. So yeah, will definitely be a big challenge for these drivers. We're currently in a 15-minute qualifying session, about halfway through this qualifying session, in which the drivers can set as many laps as they wish. I mean, kind of got Josh Thompson at the top of the stands, which is hardly a surprise. Been the man to beat for the last few meetings. No grid penalties, it seems, today either, which very much derailed his progress last time out at Spa. And he is at the top of the standings. Nick Forky in second place, Ross McFarlane in third, Mark Fletcher up there in fourth, which is a bit of a better qualifying than Fletcher has had recently. But it's interesting, Thompson's position. You'd expect him to be in the championship hunt, but so much has gone wrong for him this season, with a few difficult opening rounds when he had the pace but was unfairly taken out, I think, on multiple occasions. He's out of the championship fray. However, he's going to be quite a tricky dealer for everyone else. I mean, everyone's almost going to have to drive around Thompson because he's got nothing to lose and could definitely make a big impact on this championship.
He's also changed car as well, so he was on the back foot from that point, I think, and he's obviously done it because that's the car that his team are running in other series and things like that, which is fair enough. But he's clearly the fastest man out there by far. I think you'd expect him to run away with race one, but having said that, after that, yeah, I think the drivers just need to be focused on each other, the people at the top of the championship. You know, Pete Harrod leads the championship at the moment, and he's only in 13th place in qualifying at the moment, so he'll need to get into the top 10, you would feel, if he's going to maintain his advantage here today. Michael Evdocker is second, 21 points behind. George McClay is third, 23 points behind. And then it's fourth for Ben Palmer, 47 off the lead. And then Oscar Mangan is 56 off the lead. In the Pro-Am category, Mike Horder leads the way by 33 points over Ethan Bass. Matt Bunn's in third. He's 90 points behind. And then Ash Beard, 12 points further back, in fourth. And then in fifth is Simon Field. And then in the Am category, Craig Jones leads the way by 54 points ahead of Lars van Rijn. Carl Jacquelet is in third, and he's quite a way back, 124 points behind Van Rijn. And then Kevin Bolland is in fourth place, and then in fifth is Matty Dracott. So we've got there's a lot of teams out there, Sam, really looking to make this last push. Texsense Fitstyle Motorsport, of course, at the top of the Pro category. Boosted Motorsport at the top of the Pro-Am category. This is the key time now.
Yeah, it doesn't really. It's like those final few matches of a season when Leeds inevitably are on the cusp of getting relegated, and have to. To be fair, I think Norwich is a better example of that. It must be said.
Well,
Where they've
Leeds
got.
are usually in favour of cocking up the end of the season. Yes.
Oh yeah, I guess on the edge of playoffs, but seventh every season. Yeah, where the performance doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter how well you drive. It doesn't matter. Well, I guess the fun of the race is still important, but of course what you'll remember is the points that you score, and that's what everyone will be looking out for today. Just a little bit of reminder as well.
I don't know. He's been on BT Sport once, and the football analogies are coming out already.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone who watched BT Sport, I doubt anyone did, but that was good fun. The colors, by the way, on the side of your screen on the timing tower, the greens are the pros, and then the yellows are the pro-ams, and the oranges are the ams. And the stewards really know these drivers ever so well. So they can very much judge that to perfection. But still got 3 more minutes left of this qualifying session. I wonder if you get the time of day and the weather up, because usually gives us a good indication of whether the times are going to continue improving or not. Because if we're getting warmer and warmer, then it's quite tricky to improve your times. And you can see it's up to 27 degrees Celsius. And it's only 8 in the morning. That's pretty warm. We were doing a race in the Sim Racers World Endurance Championship the other day at Sebring, which of course is far more south than New York in Florida, and it was only about 22 degrees Celsius, I think, at this point of the day. So it's actually quite warm, probably due to the fact that they've got so many cars running around, really heating up the track quite a bit. So it's tricky to really improve on your times when the track is getting a little bit warmer, because these things operate best on the cooler temperatures. But Ben Palmer trying to improve at the moment. This lap for Palmer has been all right, I think. I'm not quite sure. I can't even see the sector times. Can you see the sector times, Willie?
I can't. No. So, so there we go. I can't see them, but
Well,
he'll be hoping it's all right.
it's totally our fault, because there's literally a setting we've got to change in our live timing, which will let us know the sector times. But well, it's quite nice to live life in ignorance, isn't it? And we really don't know what this time is going to be from Ben Palmer. It could be not an improvement, or it could be the best lap of the session. He crosses the line, and it's a distinctly average 43.93, half second off his best time. So needs to improve a bit on the next time.
There you go. You were right when you said it was just all right. It was nah, it wasn't good, wasn't bad, but not enough to improve. Here's the we do have some sector times actually now on the screen, and Steve Burke's going well, Matt Draycott going well. We mentioned that Draycott is fifth in the AM category. Steve Burke's just improved to 27th place. Ethan Bass has gone up to 25th with his personal best. Oscar Mangan could put a spanner in the works. We'll see if he can improve. The Irishman goes up to 4th place, so that's a good run there by the McLaren driver.
Yeah, very strong for Mangan. We've seen the tracks quite recently at Daytona and Monza and a couple of others really seemingly favouring the McLaren, also Spa as well. And this one, it's got a mix, hasn't it, of high speed straights and also plenty of different types of corner, mainly kind of high speed and medium speed corners around this track. However, on the opening lap, we did see an absolutely horrendous crash in the Sim Racers World GT Championship a few months ago, and literally 5 or 6 drivers just lost it by themselves on cold tires up the hill, and half the field was obliterated in that one moment. These drivers do have one faster pair, thankfully, but we need to desperately hope that we don't see something like that coming up, as the checker flag is out. The higher up you're on the grid, the less likely you're going to get involved in such an incident. What can Pete Newman do? Currently top of the Pro-Am drivers. It's a personal best final sector for Newman, but it's not an improvement overall. So he's not going to be moving up through the order. We've also got McFarlane on the track, along with Palmer, Evdotka, McClay, Fletcher, Billy Fletcher, that is. Pete Howard, Chaz Draycott as well is still on the grid. So still a little bit of time for drivers to improve. As is this an outlap for McFarlane? No, I think this is a proper lap for him, but he's quite slow in all these sectors. Just very few green sectors at the moment for drivers.
Yeah, and that could be that escalating track temperature, as you said, because no matter how, if you drive the circuit a little bit better, it can always just be taken away by things out of your control. So we look at McFarlane coming through the last sector. He's currently in 3rd. See if he can improve. He's got no personal best sectors. Doesn't necessarily mean that he won't improve. But here he comes then across the line. The flagman's going for it as normal. But has McFarlane improved? No, he has not. George McClay has, though. And that's important for him in his championship battle, up into 6th place. And that is actually ahead of these two championship contenders.
Yes, that's a
In fact, all of
yeah,
them as well. In fact, ahead of Palmer as well.
yeah, that's a big run for him. Could be very important on that one. So no, that's yeah, very impressive run right there. So yeah, Thompson seemingly on pole. So apologies that I've got a little bit distracted in the past few minutes because Sam Kumo in our has sent us a message involving a Taki Inui, the famous F1 Joe who famously got hit by a safety car, and he's asked if he could take part in esports, but only if there isn't a pace car on the circuit in case he gets injured, which is fantastic. That he's got such such a
Well, he
sense
needs
of
to
humour.
stay away from
But
Dennis Melcher then,
well,
doesn't he?
exactly. He can't join this series. That's the one thing blocking him because we know he's going to get run over if he joins.
Hey,
Again,
at
best
the end
driver
of the
himself.
day,
So
hey, at the end of the day, say what you want about Taki Inui. He was a Formula One driver, so, and he did he didn't just do one season, did he? He did a couple, 2 or 3 seasons, I think. So, you know, hey, I'd wish I could just do one Grand Prix, but there you go.
I wish I could do a one lap in like a practice session or something. That'd be remarkable. No, but no, you'd see. Apparently, he's a good driver to follow on Twitter, so do that. Anyway, on the Taki Nui promotion channel, we've got Josh Thompson on pole position, half second clear of Nick Cole Foggy. Another good qualifying for Foggy. Ross McFarlane lines up in third, Oscar Mangan in fourth. Let's Mark Fletcher, could see him back up there after a tricky few rounds. George McClay in sixth, of course, going for the title is McClay. Then it's Ben Palmer, Michael Docker. Top of the pro rounds, a lovely divide right there between the green and the yellow. Norwich colours. Pete Newman in ninth. Ashley Beard rounding out the top 10. That's Billy Fletcher, Simon Underhill, which is added as well. I think Beard. Well, actually, I think Beard was pretty strong around here in the second previous seasons. Pete
Sadly
Harrison,
though, the Norwich colours haven't been seen anywhere near the top of anything for quite some time.
ha ha ha, Mr. Championship. Um, Pete Harrods in 13th, John Juice in 14th, Max Bird in 15th, Mike Horder in 16th, then it's Matt Bunn, Tom Jacobs, Lars Van Ryn is top of the amateur drivers, then it's Chaz Jack Hills, who was very impressive at Spa, Adam Hedgecock, watch out from him from 22nd, Stephen McCaffrey, Simon Field in 24th, then in 25th it's Ethan Bass, Harry Wills, Steve Burke, Michael Blake, Kevin Boland, Craig Jones, Matt Draycott, Dennis Melcher, Nathan Dixon, Niall Crowther, Carl Yacolet, Lewis Bibby, watch out for him from 36th on the grid, Ben Gregory, Mark Woodhouse, John Roberts, Mike Gray, Kieran Chung, and Andy Shield, watch out for the SimSports Racing USA driver as well, starting down in 42nd place. And I will just say, I mean, when was the last time Leeds won a title compared to Norwich? We won a title just 12 months ago. It wasn't even that, it was 11 months ago. So don't dish out that criticism, Mr. Woodhouse.
Well, no, I mean, to be fair, we've won a league title more recently than Liverpool, so
But
you
exactly, yeah.
win some, you lose some, I guess. But not to make this a football discussion too much, but hey, we'll take what we can get. Josh Thompson then leads them around. You see the iRacing safety car, which is a Taki Inui will want to avoid it at any cost, I suppose.
He has to turn the broadcast off at this point.
Yes, he does. But in all seriousness, if he wants to come and race in in any of the series on Apex Racing TV, he's certainly welcome. Welcome everyone to everybody who's joining us on the iRacing eSports Network as well tonight, which is, as usual, a fantastic channel as well. Josh Thompson and Nicole Foggy. Nicole Foggy, former World GT champion, Sam, who has had what can only be described as a pretty appalling season by his standards.
Former champion, of course, in this in this series. Where is he? So I think he's still in a decent place in the championship.
No, he isn't.
No, he's not. You're absolutely proving. I
24th.
thought 24th. Jeez. I don't even know how that's happened. And also, strangely, his drop round is 64, so the Jazz can drop 2 rounds. So if you've got a drop score of 24, that means that you've done pretty much all the rounds, because if you didn't do 2 rounds, then you'd have a drop score of 0, because you wouldn't have scored those 2 rounds that you didn't turn up for.
It's
But
a
that
astute
is
observation, yes.
that,
He's almost behind the 4GT. It's been that underwhelming a season for foggy suddenly.
And the Ford GT only has reverse gear, so that is quite remarkable how he's almost behind that. But no, yeah, I was thinking he was almost in the championship hunt. He has been better in the last few rounds, particularly in qualifying. Has actually scored some good points. And so he's another one, he could really cause an upset. But just a reminder of the championship, we've got Harrod on top, then it's Evdoka, McClay, Palmer, Mangan, and McFarlane. You could possibly put Mark Fletcher in that mix as well. Yeah, put Mark Fletcher in there. I think Lewis Bibby might be a little bit too far back, but then there's also job scores and whatnot. Also, points are given out at half points in this race as well. So you want to be in a good place after 52.5 minutes. So because that's when half the points are given out.
Yeah, and that is, well, exactly. And the same amount of points applies to the first part of the race as it does to the second. So it's not like, say, the stages in NASCAR, I think we get less points for the first ones. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I think the key, Sam, for the entire race isn't any particular driver. It's, can they go through lap 1 without any major incidents? We've seen some almighty ones at this circuit over the years. You've said that you've seen one quite recently as well here. So, and the barriers are very close. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be a big trouble spot. Also, coming up to the line could be troublesome. Shouldn't be troublesome for Josh Thompson. He's got control of the order on the inside line, and we are underway for the penultimate round of the World GT Championship. Thompson straight away getting onto the racing line. It's 3 wide seemingly for second, third, and fourth, but just pulling ahead is Oscar Mangan. A fantastic start from fourth position for Mangan. He's going to be under pressure from Foggy, though, going through turn 1. Will be side by side up the hill. Will either of them back out? It seems as though it'll be Mangan who just about pulls ahead, but Foggy's sticking in there. Are there any signs?
Crash,
Oh, there's
crash,
a big
crash,
crash
crash,
with one of the
crash.
Audis, and that is quite a few cars involved. Also, the number 5 car as
Oh.
well getting involved in an incident. Also, Tom Jacobs. Oh no, that is a massive crash. I think we're going to need a safety car.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Yeah, the track is blocked, so safety car will have to come out, and that will hopefully allow the drivers to drive round in somewhat of an orderly fashion.
Good job from a few of those drivers to actually stop. That usually it's instant ahead. Maybe the thoughts will help in this situation.
Usually
But
they
on
really Ricardo Ross it into the back of everything.
exactly, yeah. I mean, the worrying thing about dear, we got well, they're still
My
crashing.
goodness.
The worrying thing is that, of course, we are going to have another restart, aren't we? But this is on board with
Well,
Ben Gregory. How he got involved?
there was a turn 1 incident already. A couple of cars off Warmingham, and I think it was maybe I don't know if it was Carl Jacquelet as well who got taken out there. But there was an incident at the top of the hill. I think it was there was an Audi. I think it was Newman who I saw going off first of all. I think I could be completely wrong on that one. I don't know what Ben Gregory was really attempting there. It was always going to end up in a cul-de-sac.
Yeah, he's trying to take it back. Well, I think he's thinking, well, there's going to be a safety car here, so I may as well get myself ahead.
Ah, I
When
guess
the safety
so.
car is called, then I'll have track position over these
Ah,
cars.
and Newman
What's
hits
the
the
bad
curb,
result?
Sam, you see, and he loses it, and he takes the BMW with him. Now, was the BMW Evdoka? That's key.
Yeah.
That's key for the championship. Evdoka was in second. And who else has been involved in this one? John Roberts, Lars Van Rijn, and well, quite a lot of people actually. Oh my God! Somebody got thrown, and that was the Audi of Newman getting thrown right up into the air. Yeah, Van Rijn was off at the side. Well, no, he's, and then there's a car spun in the middle of the circuit. Yeah, it's quite a mess.
It really is. So the order then up 15 places. Steve Burke. Never have I wanted to see an onboard more than on board with Steve Burke, because he's up 15 places. Like I said, he must have scythed through that
We're
order.
not really, yeah, we're not really time sensitive here under the safety car, so we can definitely, if we can get that on board from the start, that'd be really good. And Sam, ask and you shall receive, I guess. So here we go.
Yeah, so he's coming up. He knows what he's doing here, Steve. You know, like he's already on the brakes. He knows what's coming, and Oh, well, there's a little bit of contact.
Oh,
Oh, no, there's a lot of contact, but he squeezes through. That was,
he made it through, but his car's not in the same condition as it was at the start of the race.
he could come in. Well, he can't come in for a pit stop, can he? Because pit lane's closed. So maybe on this lap we might see him coming into the pits when
I
the
think it
pit
was
lane opens.
I think it was Chaz Draycott flying up into the air actually. Was so both the CQR Pete Newman Media Audis, Newman, like we said, losing it on the curb. Draycott getting absolutely waffled as he come through there, and they were on board with Chaz Draycott, and I don't know how much of that. I don't know whether he'll be able to make this to the end or not, or get any repairs. Indeed, now we're on 45 minutes. Sam, it could be worth coming in for repairs potentially. You may be able to get a few points out of it, but it depends really.
Well, you get a fast repair, remember, so you can hop on into the pits and get all that damage
Oh yeah.
fixed, but of course then you're wasting it for later on.
We said at
And
the beginning, didn't we? Though, like the track funnels any accidents into back onto the racing surface.
yeah, it's you design this place. I mean, whoever
Oh
designed it,
wow, the Ford GT's got some of it missing. Look, the front right corner is missing on that medical car.
and he's now overtaking Melcher. Don't know what that's about. Is he getting a wave around? Is he a lap down Melcher, I'm wondering? But no, that just seems to go in one place, so maybe just be taking that position. Let's see if anyone comes into the pit. So the pit lane is now open. It was closed on the previous lap because we're running to NASCAR rules. And if anyone's got a bit of damage, it's probably worth getting the fast repair done now.
Oh, I would. We're
Holland's
going to
in.
see a mass exodus into the pits here. I would say.
High Wills as well coming into the pits. Doubt they'll take much. Well, you could take tyres.
Yeah, I mean,
Probably
it
not.
wouldn't. It wouldn't hurt though. I suppose you wouldn't really lose anything by you might. I mean,
Yeah.
if you were in last place, you might as well put new tyres on. I know you've only gone around 2 laps on them, but you know you could do worse than doing that.
Now,
But yeah, you want you'd struggle with the tyre temperatures, as Sam Kummer's just pointed out. You'd have cold tyres for the restart, so that could be quite dangerous. You may want to keep the tyres that you and everyone's going to have cold tyres, I suppose, because especially the ones who had to stop at the back, and that's why we're seeing some quite vigorous weaving under the safety car.
what you can do is if you're the last driver in the chain, back off and then speed round to the back of the order under
Yeah,
the pace car to warm you up the tyres. But that's a luxury that only one driver is going to have probably, unless a few kind of scheme together to do such. But yeah, hopefully we get through this next few starts fine because we want to see some proper racing and. As actually bid is just at the fastest lap of the race, so that is
there you go.
that's a bonus point, isn't it? Going his way at the moment.
Two,
Finishes the race right now. He might be. Oh well, he's running in 32nd place, so we probably want to carry on. But
2:25, and incidentally, the leader Josh Thompson set the slowest lap out of everyone on the last lap, which is quite. Oh, Field with the fastest lap there, 157.6. That is a blistering time. And he's getting some heat into his tyres, look.
well, he needs to slow down because he's going to catch up and then cool them all down again. So, Simon, slow it, mate.
Well, they'll still be warmer than the people's tyres in the queue.
Yeah. I mean, to be
But
honest,
what I think he should be doing really is. Well, also, I think that car in front there, look, I think he's trying to let him through maybe as to not get a penalty. Because, of course, don't forget, if you're new to iRacing, when a yellow flag comes out, be it on an oval or on the road, where you are at the time, I know it's self-explanatory, but where you are at the time, it's usually where you have to be in the queue. And if they've all pitted at certain times, I think they have to. That's why you see some drivers waiting at the side of the road because they have to let certain people past.
also we had a few just come into the pits, so I think you get an end of line if you come into the pits. So you got to let a load of drivers pass. It seems as though this is going to be in the in lap then for the pace car because the safety car lights are off. So we will be getting back underway. It's Josh Thompson leading the way. Billy Fletcher now the leader of the Pro-Ams. And Jack Hills, top of the amateur drivers, up 8 places. But are we going to see a similar incident this time? Or are we going to get a clean start? It's going to be Thompson all over again then. It's still foggy behind him. What can Mangan do from third place after an awesome launch last time? Single file this time for the drivers. Holding on is Thompson, and now we are back underway. There's a big concertina effect further back in the snake, so there might be 4 or 5 wide further down. Foggy already getting his cut to the inside of the circuit just to fend off any move from Mangan. He's looking very racy just behind, but Mangan does back out of it. A good move there for Mark Fletcher. He might be straight past Ross McFarlane here, who's almost caught napping straight away. The Sim Sports car as well. Or Ben Palmer is looking very good. Matt Bunn is dropping down the order, and we've also got Adam Hedgecock as well.
Oh, that's Fletcher.
And are we going to see another massive pile-up? It's just a few drivers seem...
Oh,
God,
yeah, we are.
yeah, we need another one.
We do need another one. Oh, dear, dear. And that is not what we wanted to see. But once again, the track is blocked. Drivers are stationary out there.
Tom Jacobs again. He was involved in the first time and think, oh, still in the race. I don't think he's going to have any faster pairs left though.
No, but Jacobs' damage is fairly, well, unless he's got suspension damage, it's fairly mild compared to some, I think. But yeah, that was, I wonder how that one started. Fletcher had lost it, but I don't know if he got any assistance at all.
It seemed like Hedgecock as well was, I think must have been around Billy Fletcher at the time. Let's see if we can figure it out.
Oh, there's already a spinner. Matt Bunn had already spun in turn 1. Now, oh, we're looking at Jacobs there, but oh, Jacobs gets rear-ended by the Ferrari, which and then he tries to turn it around, and of course there's traction control on these GT3s. If you don't turn it round, you won't be able to get a spin turn look, and that's what happened to Tom Jacobs. Oh dear. Yeah, I wonder if we can see it from Fletcher's point of view, because he was the one who, I think Sam was the first one to drop it.
Well, I think it may
Did
be
he drop it on his own?
It may be.
Two of them.
There goes the Team Lizard car. Oh, and then Fletcher lost it by himself, I think.
And then he was helped off the circuit by a Nomad sim racing car. But the Lizard Motorsports car on its roof is was I think where it all began. Well, at least at the front anyway.
Crowther.
Niall Crowther.
Oh, there wasn't further up than this.
Yep. No, car in the wall. So Sam, it was exactly like you said in that other race. 4 or 5 drivers lost it completely on their own there. That wasn't rash driving or any silliness involving contact. That was just, like you say, drivers just dropping it.
Yeah, so Steve Burke, I think, was the driver who lost it initially then. And then
You cursed him by saying how many places he'd gained.
Exactly. It's ironic that the first one he got the perfect, and then that one wasn't the case. So back to the pits for him. We've got Jacobs, Burke, Gregory, Roberts is back out. Horder, Hills, and Hedgecock all in the pits. We've also got Roberts, Yacolet, Van Ryan, and Abdoka all 1 lap down. Certainly Abdoka was involved in the first shunt, so he's I don't think he's going to get the lap back, but he will only be 1 lap down now.
Just to point out the bleeding obvious as well is that these safety car interruptions won't affect the race length. It's still going to be 1 hour and 45 minutes. One thing it might do, Sam, is it may open up some fuel opportunities for some drivers. I don't know exactly if they could stretch it that far, but certainly if we have any more laps under yellow, you know, you'd think that there might be a small smidgen of a chance that someone could make it on just 1 fuel stop.
We saw a fantastic race on the eSports network, actually, on Apex Racing TV yesterday in the Aussie Mixed and Fixed GT Championship, where that was the exact story. So the drivers were mandated to do 2 pit stops. One of them they had to take tyres on, and there was a safety car about 10 minutes into the race, and the drivers who took tyres and fuel at that pit stop went on to win the race. They accidentally took tyres as well, but it turned out to be the perfect strategy, and they won the race. So they managed to. Um, that was the way to go. Josh Thompson. Hi, Josh. I think you're listening along. How is it, Josh? I mean, I'm going to test you here. How good are you at typing? I know. I don't know if I could ask him to recite something, but I mean, okay, Josh, did you see anything that went on from that crash, and what was your perspective of it? That will test him. I'm sure keep him occupied because we've got one more
Well,
pace
he
lap to
won't
go.
have seen anything in front of him, will he?
No, I don't know. The mirrors are good in these cars. Um, when they're attached still.
When they're attached, I was
Yeah.
going to say.
But anyway, we were making a point where pit stops. So the drivers, I think, are limited to 75% fuel, and fuel in that case can go about 45 minutes. So if we get a safety car on about the half, no, yeah, quarter, could you go to the end of the race then? If you pitted now,
It'd be
fueled up,
close.
and then
It would. It
pitted
would.
on the hour mark, you could maybe get to the end of the race and
Yeah, I
basically
guess you'd lose less
get,
time pitting now than you probably would
yeah,
pitting later.
you'd
But
get
you'd
rid
have
of a
to
pit
lose a
stop.
lot of track position.
Yeah, but I mean, from my experience in Aussie mix and fix, the track position you lose is nothing in comparison to the pit lane time loss you have. So
Well, it is 2 mandatory pit stops, so yeah. The only alteration would be when you would, when you would take those pit stops. But yeah, I don't think anyone. I think if we see another safety car, I think everyone will dive into the pits.
yeah, I think so. I'm not even sure if the fuel can go 45 minutes, so that might be a bit of a stretch. Just trying to see, is it limited to
Now,
70? Yeah, it is 75, so it should be 45 minutes, like I said. So an hour and a half on two stints. Yeah, I know.
Taki Inui will be having PTSD watching this race.
Yeah,
So I think the safety car has led more laps than Josh Thompson has. That's for sure. And but no, I will say though, in seriousness, I think that we tend not to see the safety car really at all. But here is definitely a place where it does tend to come out. I'd probably say about 75% of the time in this series, because it's just the nature of that first sector. And we even had one once down here where Mark Fletcher is
oh,
now.
legendary.
We even had one down here where the track was completely blocked, and you can see you can hear he's being very gingerly on the throttle. He's trying to save that fuel as much as possible.
Ben Gregory will remember that day.
Oh
Pre-ride to
dear.
the moon.
Was that the one that got remixed with was it the Daft Punk song, or the Chemical Brothers song, or whatever?
It.
The one where it's flying through space. Wasn't that the one that... I can't remember. Maybe.
I didn't remix it into that, but safe to say I made two memes of that one. I made the to be continued, and that was also the
Oh
same
yeah,
race where we
yeah.
had the X-Files, where we had the ghost car.
Oh god, the one that just took everybody out.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, and he thought
that
he
was
was
the
on
same
he thought
race.
there was nobody there. Oh
Oh,
Jesus, I do remember that one.
we got a 10K video special on Apex Racing TV coming up in a few days' time, I think, when we reach 10K. And that will be in that. So subscribe to Apex Racing TV. That's the best incentive ever, because you get to see that video. So subscribe to Apex Racing TV, get us to 10K, and then you'll be able to see it. Pace car is about to come into the pits. Thompson is glitching a little bit in and out, but he should be all right. He's been absolutely fine from these restarts. Foggy got a pretty good restart on the last time as well. Can Fletcher make up another place after getting past McFarlane last time? We're back under racing for the third time at Watkins. Glen straight away. The McLaren getting to the inside. Is McFarlane going to be able to get past Year 1 racer? Not quite. Ben Palmer nipping at the heels as well. As we head into the uphill section, we've also got side-by-side between Bibby and Bibby up 28 places. But we got a car up into the wall,
That's
and
Mangan.
that is Mangan. And that's a massive change for the championship. How much
He's
damage
broken the
got?
suspension.
We got
Underhill into the wall.
And we got Team Lizard car, and we
Oh!
got that's a big one.
Go on,
And
spin,
another one.
please, spinners. Is the track? Oh no, we're gonna get the same again.
Yeah.
It's got to be another safety car. It has to be. The track is blocked once more. My God, have you ever seen anything like it, Sam?
Well, Josh Thompson's just won a bit of money in the YouTube chat, so
Oh,
congrats, Josh.
he's won money
Um,
while driving. Perfect.
Incredible. Well, I thought we were home and dry there, but just one
Me too.
couple of cars spinning off in a few different incidents as well. Underhill was the first to go off, but dare I say, I don't think it was even him who caused it all. I think it was an incident later on, which could really kill them off. You can see Blake and Chung going back to the pits. Time to tow back. So here we are. It was a Team Lizard car actually. I doubt it was Burke again.
Oh, we're going to see... Oh, yeah, look. Oh, God. The Ferrari just completely kiboshed whoever that was at the back. And, yeah, that was... What kind of Royal Rumble is this? Well, I think a few people got thrown over the top rope in these last couple of accidents. Certainly.
Simon Field managed to keep his car relatively clean from that.
Just
now we've got
so
Jacobs.
just to clear something up as well on the chat, Damon Robinson says there's oh my word, look at this. It says there's going to be some iRatings taking a beating. Thankfully not, because it is a private league.
Yeah, no safety rating on the line, which is good. By the way, it's an automatic safety car. We do have some series which have a manual safety car. As Chung, he nearly got through it as well, and yet he got the most of the brunt. Oh no, this is going to be big.
It's not an automatic safety car. Not on this occasion.
Apologies, I meant it's AI driving the safety car.
Yes, sorry, the safety car is driven by the computer. Yes, it's not driven by a person like in.
But you're right.
Theory.
We have to deploy it, or you have to deploy it.
And well, I've got that unfortunate task. But Adam Hedgecock says, "Oh, he forgot to turn his fast repair back on. An hour and 30 minutes of repairs. Well, could you not turn it back on while you're in the box? Does it not work like that? I don't know. Potentially, you give it a try, maybe. Who knows? Yeah, we only throw the safety car if the track is completely blocked, and unfortunately, that's happened 3 times. If 2 or 3 cars would have gone off, I think it certainly would have been okay. But what this does is it preserves the race a bit, Sam, doesn't it? It means that once we get a clean lap or 2, then the race is going to be better as a result, I think. As if we'd have let it go and there'll be people 50 seconds behind after lap 1, which I don't think's fair.
Yeah, I think at least from my perspective, the main benefit of it is that if you're coming up to a roadblock, when you know that there's going to be a pace car, you're not going to rush it. You're just going to think, well, there's going to be a pace car anyway, so I'm going to catch back up to the train. Whereas if you think, oh, there's not going to be a pace car, you're going to try to, go flat out through it, try to kind of scramble through it, and potentially make even more of a mess. So it's a very good system. But yeah, usually we don't usually see this a whole lot.
So Jacqueline, Van Ryn, Gregory, and Roberts have come out of the pits again, but they are a lap down.
I don't think Gregory was involved in that one. I think Gregory was involved in the first one.
No, Gregory wasn't involved in that one, but he is a lap down.
Oh yeah, sorry.
According to the timing screen, no, it wasn't in that crash at all. No. Pit limiter on for a good clean lap. Yes, indeed. I think, to be honest, that'd be the best way at this point. No, I do think it is. It's the nature of this circuit. It's basically a street circuit with a little bit of grass at the edge. These barriers are super close. Any accident, the cars just ricochet back onto the track, unfortunately. And there's it does mean that it's more of a challenge. It does mean that the drivers get tested more. But unfortunately, it means that sometimes we get a little bit of that kind of, the 10 pins rattling around on the pin deck. I'm afraid of they all crashing into each other. Simon Underhill's car is a mess.
Well, the pit lane's open, and he's taking advantage of it, but Palmer is taking advantage of it as well. So, our hypothesis was that you can go an hour and a half on fuel. Got less than,
as well.
an hour and a half on 2 stints. So, you should be able to get to the end of the race, so you may as well use up one of your pit stops now. It might help you out later on. I assume that is what Palmer and Mangan are thinking.
Could
Palmer
be a
might have a bit.
could be a big advantage later on, obviously. But that is providing they can get through the traffic quickly, because if not, then they're going to be so far behind due to the field spread that any advantage gained by the strategy is going to be negated, surely.
Yeah. But it's a long pit lane here, isn't it? Where you lose a lot of time. So, I don't know. He's in 20th place, though. He's only lost 12 places or something. So, you're absolutely right. He does need to make his way up through the order quick.
I wonder
But,
if Adam Hedgecock's about, actually. He's on the YouTube chat. I wonder if he's about, if he can come and have a word with us maybe in the commentary box and give his opinion on what went on in those first few laps. Because I know, yeah, he may have a good opinion to give us. Craig Williams on the chat saying people need to stop weaving and heating up the front tyres because the front tyres are already bad.
well, because
yeah,
if you heat up
potentially.
the
I mean,
front, then you're not heating up the rear, so you're going to cause it more oversteer, I guess.
one thing I've noticed since warming up the tyres has actually been fairly important in iRacing, which is only recently, really, last few months or so. People tend to ignore. In F1, what do the drivers do to warm up the tyres the most? Yes, they do some weaving, but they do a lot of hard, quick acceleration, hard braking to get some heat into the brakes, get some heat into the rears. And you don't see any of the drivers really doing that. And I wonder, Sam, if that's a symptom of the traction control being in play here.
Yeah, you can't. It's tricky to kind of do burnouts, which I think would be quite useful in this in this situation.
Speaking of crashing, Adam Hedgecock's here. Hello, mate.
Aha.
Hi. Hello.
How far on fuel can you go, Adam? I'm curious.
I wouldn't know. I haven't been on the track long enough.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for that. Literally, honestly, you may be the expert on this series, and you come in here. But anyway, we're about to get underway, and I'll let you redeem yourself in a moment, Adam, because the pace car will come into the pit. So we're going to go for this for the 4th time. Thanks for sticking with us.
Hopefully, Adam can stick around for it. Hopefully, he can stick around for a few laps.
I'll be around for a bit.
Yeah. But hopefully you're enjoying the show at the moment, and we're about to get back underway. Then to start lap 10 of this race, the pace car is in the pits, and we are back underway. Josh Thompson from the pole position, Fletcher across up into 3rd position. Can he challenge Foggy going down into turn 1? Thompson straight away pulling out a few tenths of a second away from the rest of the field. Bibby up into 6th place. A little bit of a poor start, I think, for Ashley Beer, just losing up to Ben Palmer, both after making pit stops earlier on. The field is much more spread out than we've seen on previous laps, so as long as no one loses it by themselves, we should all be fine, and that looks pretty strong so far. Craig Jones, by the way, up into 8th place, top of the amateur drivers.
I'll be honest, if anybody crashes now, I'm not throwing another safety car because they've had enough chances. As you've got into the carousel, then we've got a 3-wide action in the middle of this is the furthest we've made it, gents. Already, so already I'm quite optimistic. I wonder if Ben Palmer's strategy is going to pay off. It's going to be fascinating. He's up into 18th already, though.
Yeah, he needs to keep on making progress. Also look at Billy Fletcher's running 15th place after some issues earlier on, so some pretty quick drives he's going to have to get past. Fletcher now moving past Dennis Melchert. He got involved in the first wreck, but seems to have kept it pretty clean ever since then.
He pitted for the fast repair, did Dennis, and then he got hit again on the second crash, I believe.
Yep. As we make our way towards the end of the lap. I mean, Adam, the main reason for these crashes has been the cold tyres. Explain that to us, how it feels to drive the first few corners of this Watkins Glen circuit on fresh tyres.
It is pretty tough. The S's is pretty tough on the tyres, whether they're hot or cold. The car gets very light, so it's pretty tough all the time. By the way, I'm not seeing pictures of the race, so do jump over me if something happens. Won't you?
No, that's fine.
But yeah, I'm not so sure it was the cold tyres so much. I think everyone was so eager to get going again after having the first safety car that I think they threw a little bit of caution to the wind, and yeah, I think everyone was just too excited and bunched up far too quickly, and you had that second accident, which wasn't good.
Malcha getting freight trained a bit right here, might have 3 wide. Moving past him at the moment is Ben Palmer. He'll certainly get past. We've also got one of the Tech Sense drivers getting past of Tom Jacobs. Mike Halder will be next, so to Mike Gray will get past. So a tricky time at the moment for Melcher, just with so many fast drivers behind him, really quite making their way past Bay simply as we move into the toe section of the track.
The car's just proving how slow it is, isn't it? These first few laps, really. And Mike Gray coming through 19th. He's going to try and make it past. We're on board with Matt Bunn. We saw him spinning earlier on, and bizarrely, that probably saved him from that big accident that there was ahead. He's just got past Steve Burke, or he's trying to, and he's trying to make a move on Ash Beard. Beard's on the inside. Bunn throws it into the tight hairpin there. It's off camber and pretty shallow, pretty sort of dangerous with the high curve on the inside. Thompson sets the fastest lap by quite some way. Yeah,
43.5, a little bit faster than the 57, which was the previous fastest lap of the race. So Thompson doing a great job, 1.7 seconds clear of the rest of the order. Here comes Melcher again. Halder, what's that Halder getting past? Yes, it was. And great. Oh, we got a car in the track, and the year 1 car
Kevin
as well
Bolland
is into the wall. And Kevin Bolland there getting involved, and also Ashley Beard. He's got a bad record here. He got.
Careful there! Oh.
That was Bolland rejoining, was it?
Yeah, Bolland rejoining, and somebody went past in inches to spare. Michael Evdocker's in the YouTube chat as well. Hello, Michael. Unlucky for the accidents. What he could have done, really. I think he was right behind Pete Newman when Newman crashed, unfortunately, Sam, for Michael Evdocker. So that's made his championship quite an uphill task now.
Yeah, we're saying how you can get a big points change in these endurance races if you get taken out early on. That is what has happened to a few drivers. So the other championship drivers for the championship win, I mean, Evdocker got involved. I think Evdocker was kind of the only one, though, I think who will really suffer in that instance. I think everyone else is still running. Andy Shields also out of the race. I'm not sure if he even started.
Craig Williams providing some insight on the chat of Craig's setup shop, saying that the crash at the start isn't to blame on the tyre model. Now the tyre doesn't fold like before, the cars have a bit more front downforce, causing the rear to swap ends, because they just don't have as much rear grip as what they did before. So there you go.
And Craig knows what he's talking about, everyone. So please certainly check out Craig setup shop. Very much has helped out Josh Thompson, we believe, in the Audi in recent weeks to get the absolute most out of that car.
And speaking of Williams, Josh Thompson's just been promoted to Williams eSports as well. So congratulations to him. They're one of the teams that's making moves at the moment. And look at this, speaking of making moves, Sam, we've got a big pack here now.
Yeah, Steve Burke slithering through the middle. He got involved in the first crash, I believe, or maybe it was the second one, but here he goes around the outside for Team Lizard. Lost it by himself in the first few corners, but he's back up into 19th place now. Oscar Mangan. Remember Oscar Mangan? He's down in 21st place at the moment, already making a pit stop on that plate. Did take a lot of fuel though at his pit stop, so he might be able to go to might have one less pit stop to make. Going defensive there is Melcher, and Mangan just doesn't make contact, almost door-to-door contact, almost
good driving.
Wing mirror off. Should have better straight line speed now in the McLaren, along with of course having a better line and the toe as well ahead of him. And can carry more speed into that corner and around the outside.
That's Ben Palmer. So that's Chaz Draycott, and those two work together in the motorsport world, funnily enough. So if they've crashed into each other, that will be quite devastating for them, and maybe quite amusing as well for us. Who knows? But Palmer, he went into the corner with Billy Fletcher. Fletcher nudges him. Palmer hits the wall into Draycott. Draycott's just been an innocent victim a few times today. But yeah, Fletcher not really judging that situation massively well, I don't think.
Yeah, not sure whose fault that was because yeah, Fletcher kind of moved across to follow the racing line. I think he just assumed that his rival would move across simultaneously, that Palmer would move across as well, but he stayed dead straight. Yeah, not sure what the stewards will think about that one. Behind Chaz Draycott, he's now got a lot of damage, is Oscar Mangan. He's way past Steve Burke, which is simple enough. Also, Melcher continuing to lose places behind. He's now down behind Stephen McCaffrey, who ironically started around that place. He started in 23rd place, in 20th place, and now has McCaffrey. It's difficult to say who's been involved in these incidents and who's not, but certainly the top 5 haven't been. And then Lewis Bibby up 13 places on 36 on the grid. He's up into 6th place. He's managed to somehow get his way through all of them.
What I can tell you is drivers who have been in the pits so far: Billy Fletcher, Tom Jacobs, Mike Gray, Matt Budd, Chaz Draycott, Oscar Mangan, Stephen McCaffrey, Simon Underhill, Harry Wills twice, Matt Draycott, Simon Field 3 times, Niall Crowther once, Ben Palmer twice, Roberts and Jacquelette. And then Beard, Bolland, Dixon and Bird are in the pits with repairs by the looks of it.
Yeah, and there's plenty of others on track as well with damage on their cars. But when you get through it all, I'm saying quite pretty. Craig Jones, by the way, top of the amateur drivers, has dropped a few places in this stint. You can see how his lap times are considerably slower than those around him, but he's well ahead of Jack Hills in 2nd place. Jones really helping his chances at that amateur class title.
Someone on the chat saying, "Oh, well, you guys realise that they're racing at a NASCAR track." Well, yes, but this is hosted pretty much every series under the sun, including Formula One, including sports cars, everything really. So
it is a very different layout.
This isn't the layout exactly. This is the NASCAR layout. So there we are. But yeah, 2 mandatory pit stops. That's the thing. Thompson, Foggy, and the like have got to make 2 stops. Regardless now, so some drivers they've got to get on with it, Sam, because some drivers will now have a strategic advantage by, even by accident, they might have looked into it. So
yeah, we certainly think Mangan is in a good place, pitting in on lap 8.
Well, so Fletcher is the leader of he's in the best fuel position, sorry, isn't he? Simon Underhill is as well. Who else pitted on lap 8? Wills, Draycott, Field, Crowther. Ben Palmer pitted on lap 13 for his 2nd time. So actually, Palmer technically doesn't have to stop again, but he will have to stop again.
So I was getting confused there. I was thinking, who pitted from the front? He should be in a really good place. So it was going to be Palmer, who was going to be sitting really good after pitting on lap 8. He would have been up in probably about 14th or maybe even close to the top 10 by this point, but unfortunately got involved in another incident, didn't he? Which has kind of derailed him, which, to be fair, is part of the risk of coming into the pits when he did. But I compliment Ben there for coming in under the safety car, because I think that strategy could have worked for him. But yeah, in the midfield, you're much more likely to get into a crash, as he did.
We're getting questions about the classes, so we'll tell you exactly what the classes are. You can see on the top of the screen the colour coordination, the key. For the timing tower on the left-hand side, green is the pro, yellow is the pro-am category, and orange is the amateur category. It's sorted by the league admin at the start of the season into really where they think people are, and it's usually pretty good, as you can see by the timing tower. You can see that everybody is pretty much where they should be. And the cars, well, it's the GT3 class on iRacing, so it is the Ferrari 488, the BMW Z3, the Ford GT, the old version, the Mercedes AMG, the Audi R8, And the McLaren MP4 12C.
Yep.
I always get that wrong. Always. Doesn't matter how many years I commentate on the car, I always get it wrong. Legit Skull, it would be cool if they race at Iowa Speedway. Iowa Speedway is on the service. It's on the iRacing service. It is scanned. It is on the service.
I assume you mean the rallycross circuit.
I don't know. It just says Iowa Speedway. So, and Iowa Speedway is on iRacing. So, raced there before in the we did a Formula Renault League that we did. We raced on the oval at Iowa Speedway. Just for Frank Small, by the way. No, Mangan is not in the wrong class. He's a former world championship driver. He unfortunately was caught up in. We had 3 safety cars at the start of the race. He was caught up in the crash, so he's had to pit earlier than the other pro drivers. There you go.
Yep.
Sorry, Sam.
What was I going to say? Oh, I was about to say something really intellectual, I'm sure. It's going to be groundbreaking, and well, you've disrupted me now, haven't you? So, thanks for that.
It can't have been about Norwich then, sadly.
Well, that's inspiration all the time, and I can never utter the words that Delia Smith uttered.
Let's be having you. Where are you?
Yeah. Nate
Come on!
Nate Beats. The armour crashing left and right. They're all crashing left and right. At the start of the race.
And forwards and backwards and every other direction. Up and down?
Up and down, mainly up, yep. So, no, that's certainly everyone's been caught up in that. McLean versus Bibby, interesting situation here. Both Renville Fitstype Motorsports drivers. Who's ahead in the championship? Bibby is in 8th place in the championship. Meanwhile, McClay is up in 3rd and was leading the championship going into the last round of the season. We've also got drop rounds as well involved in this series, which does complicate things a little bit. I believe the drop scores have been applied to the points that we are referring to.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, so if drivers who have got a high amount of drop scores, I think I'm in a good place. As yeah, here comes Bibby then. Around the outside of McLean. Usually see the outside line, and unfortunately we haven't seen too many moves down here so far, but usually the outside line works very well into the carousel section.
You can do either, really, can't you? It's really what your preference is, how brave you are, whether you want to risk it with the marbles on the outside, really. Just got a couple of questions on the chat, since I'm quite enjoying the endurance race. I can actually look at the chat and I can actually read it. Racing Nerd, when driving, if you lock your brakes, is there an easy way to know what wheel or wheels locked up? Now, Fraser's answered the question. It pertains to these cars, the ABS, the cars won't lock up unless crazy things happen. But if you drive the GTE cars, so the cars that race at the Le Mans 24 Hours, they will have lights, as he says, on the dashboard, and you'll be able to, you can correspond to whichever wheel is locking, which is quite clever. It's quite very good when you're practicing, very good when you're trying to set up the car. Berserker, I noticed that there are a lot of Audis and AMGs in the pro class, while the lower classes have more BMWs. Is that due to a difference between the cars? Are BMWs easier to drive? I'd say in general the BMW is probably the easiest car to drive. It suffers a bit in a straight line, but a lot of drivers like the BMW, to be honest. But I know some of them. Josh Thompson was in the BMW at the start of the season. I think he quite likes it, but I think his team run the Audi, so he's moved across to the Audi. And the Mercedes is pretty balanced. I'd say the Mercedes is probably a good all-rounder. I've driven it in a few races. It's not really a controversial car to drive. It's got quite good balance and good speed and good everything. What else have we got? We've seen drivers win the GT championships in BMWs before, Sam, haven't we? So it's not really my main surprise is the lack of a Ferrari. I think since the Balance performance changed last time, the Ferrari, which am I right, Sam? About 3 seasons ago in this championship, it was pretty much a lot of the top 10 drivers were running it, but now it's Craig Jones is leading the AM category in it now, so it's not really hurting him too much.
Yeah, usually when these new company cars are released to iRacing. That was pretty close for Underhill. Can he make this move stick on Burke? Yes, he can. Yeah, usually when cars are released to iRacing, they're usually a little bit OP. Quite often people jump into that car straight away, and then iRacing realise that it's a little bit too fast, so they gradually slow it down, and now the car is a little bit too slow if anything. Mercedes on the most part has never been slow. The Mercedes always been either the fastest or the second fastest. Should be remembered as well is that they're all pretty mini-match anyway. There's not a big difference between any of the cars, unless I think you go to like some really extreme circuits. And of course the drivers are mandated to stay in the same car for the entire season, so the strengths and weaknesses from the cars, it is quite good to watch, because we have some circuits like Brands Hatch, for example, and then we might visit somewhere like Monza, and of course the competitiveness of the cars can swing from maybe 3/10 faster for one car to 3/10 faster to the other car between races.
Just to clarify, I know we did talk about Josh Thompson swapping cars and a few drivers swapping cars. As Stephen McCaffrey dives down the inside on Stephen Burke. Let's see if he can get this one done through turns 1 and 2. Thompson did accrue a sizable penalty for that, and anybody who changes car does accrue like 150, 200 point penalty, which is, when you consider that the championship leader is only on 1,229 points, it's quite a sizable chunk of the championship, especially if you're not fighting. If you're not on the very front of the championship as well. As McCaffrey, he's coming under pressure from Jack Hills now as well.
Yeah, McCaffrey sitting in that 20th place for the last few laps. Also got Dan Blake as well around these just, despite being quite a bit down. Blake is just about 1.5 seconds further back. If Wills can get past Hills, which is a pain as a commentator to have to distinguish these two. Wills does move past, however. Harry Wills and Jack Hills are really dull first names as well. So,
and you got Underhill as well.
Oh dear, yeah. And also, I always get annoyed by who was Chris Woods and Mark Woodhouse along with Andrew Woodhouse. Billy Fletcher is off the track.
Going slowly.
He was in 9th place, I believe. He was in
Melrose. It's NASCAR.
He just moved up to 9th place from 10th at the start of the lap, and then he's lost it on the inside. It almost turns out of the corner on the grass and just gets back going on the way. That was very fortunate for Fletcher, who only loses a couple of places out of that.
It's I think Diogo Belro, long time friend of the channel, long time driver on the iRacing service. He knows this isn't NASCAR, so we'll give him that one. He just thinks he's funny now. We're reading out the YouTube chat. But what else have we got? I know there's a couple of other questions on there as well. As Mike Gray and Mike Woodhouse. There we go. You will be sorry. And, is iRacing paid to win? Says Frank. No, it's not paid to win. It's paid to compete. Basically, it's a subscription service. You pay your money every month, and that gives you access to a lot of free content and certain cars and tracks. The vast majority of certain cars and tracks are pay per piece, basically. So, like for instance, the North Wilkesboro Speedway came out today. I don't know if it's free or not, but if it's not free, you obviously just go and you pay for that one track effectively, and race that. So the advice, if anybody is new to iRacing on the chat, or if anybody is wanting to start iRacing, my advice would be just buy what you need. Buy the cars and tracks that you're in at the time, that you need at the time. And I wouldn't buy loads and loads of things unless you know you're going to, drive those cars at those tracks. I think that's fair, Sam, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you think how many races you could do if you got the GT3, because then the GT3 is in the IMSA series and the VRS GT series, so that's 2 different series you can sign up for. Then you get, say, I know Silverstone, there is the historic Silverstone as well, still on iRacing. So if you get Silverstone, Watkins, Glen, Spa, Monza maybe, all the high participation circuits, you can probably take part in pretty much every week of an iRacing season. just by getting those tracks, and then you're sort of you're not splashing about money on circuits that you don't need to. Just buy the ones that you need, buy cars which have multiple series, and then yeah, you can keep costs down for a little while. It will always creep up eventually because you'll take it more seriously, and you'll have to buy all the tracks pretty much eventually. But seriously,
However,
I don't even have all the GT3s, so you know, you can
I
get away
think I
with
do
saving
for
some money.
commentary reasons. I think for most of them. But I have spinner,
Oh,
and that's now is that Wills or
Hills
Hills? Oh, that's both of them. That's
and
Hills into
Woodhouse.
Wills or Wills into Hills, and then and that's yeah. Oh, Woodhouse is gone. Oh dear. Oh, and Michael. Oh, it's Michael Blake. It's Michael Blake
I
in the Team
say.
Mad car. That's who it was. Steve Burke and Steve McCaffrey then fighting over 19th place. Can you be a league in a rookie class, Zachary Felder? Yes, you can. You don't have to have any specific license class to be in most private leagues. Obviously, in certain leagues, you'd have to, prove that you can drive it. At least drive the car, and at least that you know what you're doing to some extent. As you can see, the I ratings of the drivers in this series on the screen. Josh Thompson's the highest, 7.8k, but many drivers over 3k and over 2.5k, which is very good. Some B licensed drivers in there as well. Basically, the license class, sorry, as my brain just ticks over very, very slowly. I had to replace the hamster that was going round on the wheel for a second. But yeah, the number equals, it's like a skill rating essentially. And then the license class is what you're qualified to drive in. So it's just like in real life where you do your license tests and things like that. There's no license tests in iRacing, but you build up by doing clean races and building your safety rating up, and that then increases the license class. And then all the license class really does is allow you to drive certain cars in certain series. So there we go. There's a good move there by that's Oscar Manga moving his way through the field, Sam. He's ahead of Matt Bunn, and he's just behind Tom Jacobs, who recovered well from the crashes.
Yeah, he has. Yeah. So he was involved in all of them, wasn't he, Jacobs? But quite a clean car still, and he's up in the top 20 at the moment. We are coming up to the 52.5-minute mark, which is a silly mark to give out points, but that is half distance because of 1 hour 45 race, and so half the points for today's event will be handed out in just a minute's time. In fact, no, it will be at the end of the next lap, I believe, because we've got a minute to go and Thompson's over halfway around the lap. So at the end of the next lap, we will have half the points dished out, and I believe it's well, it's a certain amount of points for first, and then every position
I've
below
got
that
the
is
points
one less.
here.
Oh, there you go. Wow,
I
you're
will be able to tell
professional,
you.
aren't you?
For once, it makes a change, doesn't it? 75 points awarded for first place, and yes, it just does go down on a 1 point less scoring system. So second 74, third 73, and so on, all the way down to 42nd place, who gets 34 points if they make it. And we had 42 cars at the start, and I can tell you that certainly that 42 haven't made it. We've only got, who's out of the race completely? Ash Beard's out completely. I think Max Bird is. I think Kevin Bolland is. I think Michael Docker is. Adam Hedgecott definitely is. And Pete Newman. He was out on the first lap. Here's Niall Crowther. And he's side by side with, I forget who that is. It's Hills, isn't it? No, it's Wills. Oh, off. Crowther smashes into the wall. Oh dear. One thing I will say, Sam, without going too deep into it all, is I do think that some of the drivers haven't really remembered that this is an endurance race and taken it in that respect in terms of the driving, because every move seems like it's risky in this race today. Whereas I know if I was driving for an hour and 45 minutes, I'd be a bit more circumspect, I think.
Yeah, Yeah, I think that's about right.
Same
I
with the
think at the
start as
start
well.
is so.
Same with the start as well. I mean, I don't know if you've done many endurance races on iRacing before, but you know, or in like Le Mans 24 hours and things like that. But you see everybody just kind of almost coasting around the first lap because they know it's literally the first lap.
Yeah, well, I must say I have won the Daytona 24 hours and the Sebring 12 hours
Oh,
in the past. Happy to get that out there.
but the first
Um,
lap's very slow, isn't it?
Absolutely. I remember doing the Daytona 24 Hours last year, and I'm sure a few people remember we had some iRacing servers. That's never happened before. And everyone was glitching out. And literally, for the first hour of the race, I was just cruising around. I didn't even care about our position. I think I was running in like 6th place. And literally, everyone was glitching out. It was barely possible to race anyone. So I was pretty much just letting everyone go.
Just got to
And
be
then once you
careful.
get the first hour and a half done, it all sorted itself out as
Oh,
Bun's
fun!
almost drowned, and
That's
he is drowned.
fun! Oh, now he's
And
going to
now
have
he,
to try. Yes, he's done a good. That's all right. If he's, yeah, and it's safe to rejoin. That's quite nicely done.
but yeah,
Let me
so about an
see.
hour and a half into that Daytona race, all sorted out, and then you just run the 22 and a half hours as normal. And as long as you haven't got involved in a collision, I guess it's the same here. Where
Oh,
as Jones has been hit a little bit by
Jones.
Burke
Did
there,
he?
coming into
Did
the
he get
pit.
hit? Yeah.
But yeah, it's the same thing in here where you gotta get through the first 5 minutes scot-free, and then you make your way for the rest of the 1 hour 40. As
It's
it's a
on
tricky
board
pit
with
entry here, a bit like South Korea, I think.
Jones. Oh yeah, he just got a little nudge. He'll be all right from that. Certainly will. The Championship leader, who's on his way to another win, but he needs to obviously, needs to finish the race. We've still got 50 minutes to go. Just a quick update on the chat. We've got Frank Small says not many safe places to overtake at the Glen. There are and there aren't. I think you've got to. The S's, I wouldn't say is one of them. No, but I would say that here is always a good opportunity if you into the chute, if you can indeed get it done. Berserker or Zachary Felder, who's leading the championship? Well, that is as I've clicked on the wrong tab, Pete Harrod, who's leading the championship. And Harrod is currently lying in 7th position in today's race, so he's having a decent run after qualifying in 13th position. What else have we got here? Some cars have small bends on them, bent rear wing and front broken. Does it affect performance? Yes, it does. And in some cases, if you've got, say, a bent rear wing, you will lose kilometers an hour on the straight. It will be quite infuriating. Yeah, and the bent front ends and things like that will slow you down. Is there a company, Racing Nerd, is there a company that is offering a gaming computer that has been described as being geared towards iRacing? iRacing is very well optimized in general. So if you just want to get started on iRacing, or if you're not really too bothered about all the bells and whistles, then I would say any reasonable graphics card and any reasonable computer will run iRacing no problem. Many people do iRacing on laptops. They're not even the newest ones. Old desktop PCs. It will run the service. You just have to turn some things down. In terms of getting the best graphics and you're probably talking something like, well, I don't know actually. I'm not the person to ask really, but you can have whatever spec really you want, and it all depends on what you need. I'd say if you're on anything less than if you're on a 60 hertz monitor, then really just get something that can run consistent 65, 70 frames and make sure that's all the time, and then you'll have a good time. And then Sam, maybe a question for you: what's the best class or series? I'll leave that one to you.
As Jack Stars is on the chat. Sam is using my old PC I built 5 or so years ago, so it can
I'll
run
say
on
you've
certain.
heard of that guy.
Yeah, he's all right. and absolutely. I mean, Jack can tell you as Thompson has come into the pits. We missed the
I'll
halfway
keep an eye
point
on
of
his
the race,
making
by the way,
time for you.
where half the points were dished out. But basically, Thompson's got half the points now in today's race. Where does Thompson come out? He is behind Mangan, and we think Mangan's got to do the same amount of pit stops as Thompson to the end of the race. So keep an eye out for that one.
It's 11th
The
for
gap
Thompson.
between
That's not so bad, is it? And how
no.
far is he off the lead? 43 seconds.
Um,
So it was just for reference, it was a 32.5-second pit stop, 1 minute and 3 seconds in the pits.
what's the best class or series? IMSA is pretty good. Because you've got the GT3 cars and the GTE cars, which works pretty well. You've also got the Le Mans series, where if you want to drive some HPDs and P1s, although IMSA's usually very good high participation, which is what everyone wants. I'm a big fan of the C7 Daytona prototype. However, it's impossible to get an official
Oh,
race
I'm not.
all week.
I
Also,
find that very difficult to drive. I've
the
driven the
Daytona
old
prototype.
Daytona prototype around here, though. That was good.
It is a brilliant car. Also, the Porsche GT3 Cup, I'm a big fan of. And there's constantly stuff being added to iRacing. You can check out all the iRacing cars and tracks on their website as well. So we've got a few more drivers coming into the pits. Foggy Fletcher. I mean, it's tricky to say how far the fuel goes because, of course, we had so many laps under the safety car earlier on. But you think an hour long, we had about 20 minutes under the safety car, didn't we? So I think our hypothesis earlier on about 45 minutes of fuel, I think that was about right.
Yeah, this is Thompson going past Ethan Bass. Bass has got some damage on that Mercedes, and Thompson goes down the inside. No sense in Ethan fighting that one, really, as they're on different strategies. If Ethan Bass had have been maybe, if he'd have pitted in the same amount of times as Thompson, he'd consider trying to make it difficult. But yeah, he hasn't pitted yet as Ethan, so he's focusing on his own lap times at the moment. 1987 NASCARs, I think, Zachary. I think it's 87. A couple of a Chevy and I think it's a Chevy. Is it a Monte Carlo and a Thunderbird? I don't know. My NASCAR knowledge pre 90s is very bad.
My NASCAR knowledge pre 90 minutes ago is pretty bad, so I'm not going to even talk about that one. Kyle Busch, he's a driver, isn't he?
Yes.
And Watkins Glen is a track on the calendar. Ross McFarlane is into the pits then. Most of these drivers, by the way,
Next thing you'll be telling me to
tires.
turn right round every track, but
Well,
don't mind.
some they do. Some they do. I don't know if it's even possible to go like right around an oval. Why don't
Well,
everyone
it
do that?
is. It is, but
You have
they used to do it in. There was. Oh, now then, there was. I think. I'm sure I've seen a race. It wasn't. I don't think it was a NASCAR race, to be honest. But I'm sure I've seen an oval in some place where it was right only. I do not remember for the life of me where it was, but I know some of the oval courses ended up going. They ended up going clockwise around the oval sections, like Indianapolis GP and things like that.
Yep. And Charlotte's the right way round. This is clockwise, isn't it? This
Just
circuit.
quickly, Sam. Sorry to butt in, but just quickly, this is what we said would happen earlier on. You've got Billy Fletcher in the lead, you've got Mike Gray in second, you've got Oscar Mangan in third. They've all made one pit stop, and they all made that pit stop under the safety car. So they now have an advantage and are legitimately leading this race now.
Yeah. Do they?
And it is if
time?
they can make it to the end. We think Mangan can, but it'll be tough.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, they're now got 43 minutes to go. We think the fuel can go 45 minutes, so even if they pit now, they should be able to get to the end of the race. Fletcher, I'm not sure if you have to take tyres. You don't have to take tyres, do you? So Fletcher's all right in the situation he is in. Gray and Mangan have taken tyres because they it may as well do. But as long as they make for the next few laps, they should be all right. As actually the top do come into the pit, so it's going to
Oh,
be
there you go.
tight for them. 42 minutes is going to be a pretty long wait. Magan should be able to edge out another lap or two, I
They
imagine.
might be able to take a fraction less fuel though now, pitting at this time, than if they pitted. You know, if the safety cars hadn't come out, they can now potentially short fuel a little bit. Don't want to short fuel too much, of course, because we know what happens then. Berserker, the Audi seems more confident on turning than the AMG. Is that characteristic of the car? I think if you're looking at, I think the Audi's more pointy. It's a bit more difficult to drive, I would say, than the Mercedes. So it's naturally. Would you say that, Sam? It's a bit more skittish, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, a lot of it comes down to the setup as well. How kind of stiff the springs are on these various cars. Even the drivers within the same car will be varying massively in terms of setup. And of course, iRacing quite often changing these cars, so it's always a bit of a development war between the teams, which is quite an interesting element. Although it's such behind closed doors and it's so difficult to judge. It's always very much to the drivers who know, and even then, of course, you have no idea what setup your rivals are on. Although, of course, if you're losing to them, obviously they are running a better setup.
That's it. Or in my case, usually they're just better at driving than me.
Oh, I'm sure that would not be the case.
Foggy and Matt Bunn then battling over 6th and 7th places. And Foggy looks like he's going to go through here. Oh, he nearly loses the rear going into the...
Oh, he spun.
Oh, McClay. Oh, spun again.
Oh.
It's the same corner. And I don't know. I hope he doesn't get high centered on the curb, which is possible. I've seen that before. Yeah, there he goes.
By the way, we were talking about setups, and I'm feeling quite up myself today. So I was saying earlier on about how I won Daytona this evening. My biggest accomplishment, though, is winning the BSR Radical Championship. And that was a big setup, which means that everyone was on the same, was in the same cars with the same setup, which is the best judge of driver talent.
Oh, there we go.
I won that against Nicole Foggy, who is currently running in a very good position. And I'm sure Thompson did a few races of that as well, so I'll say that I'm better than him.
Your head's not going to fit in the commentary box soon.
Honestly, my headphones are falling off right now. They're really being stretched. But no, yeah, I like that championship. Everyone else crashed, whereas I didn't.
How is the medical car doing? 24th, Diogo. It's Melrose. There you go. I've seen Talladega Nights. That's about it. Yes, Shake and Bake and all that. I don't know if that's the right film. That might be Days of Thunder.
No,
I don't know.
That is Talladega Nights.
I get them mixed up because I think one's a parody of the other, and they end up blending into one. Best track in iRacing for the best track
Montreal.
in iRacing. Montreal. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. That's your answer.
100%. I won a race there once. That's why it's the best. And before anybody's smart ass, no, it's not the only race I've ever won. Thank you very much. Here's Dennis Melcher going through the second to last corner in the Ford GT, or the anti-Taki Inui device, as we've come to know from tonight.
Repellent.
Yes. Yeah, exactly that.
It also repels good finishing positions as well.
It does indeed. It does. For those who, we say this every week, I think. For those who are new on the, for those who are new to the chat, but Dennis Melcher is a very good driver. I've seen him win titles in touring cars on this channel before, and yeah, the car doesn't do him any favors. It's from about 15 years ago or whatever. It's been on iRacing probably for 10 years, and yeah, it just exudes. If you look up a picture of slow in the dictionary, it first of all shows me, and then it shows Dennis Melcher's Ford GT.
Another fantastic question from Zachary Felder. what is? Oh, sorry, legit score. What's the worst track on iRacing? Virginia
Oh.
International Raceway is.
Oh dear,
Worst. So
that's gonna anger some people.
it will
That's
anger
gonna trigger
no one.
people. Oh
Apart
dear.
from Alex Simpson, no one likes that circuit. Maybe Sam Kumo. I think Sam Kumo's got a soft spot for that
I
place.
don't hate it. I'm not. It's not my favourite. What's the one that I dread? I dread going to when I see it on the track. You know what? I'm gonna just put it. This is gonna hurt more people. Talladega. I just don't like it. I just do not like Talladega, and I don't like Richmond. So there you go. I don't like Richmond. In terms of road courses,
The bike layout on Indianapolis Motor Speedway is quite apocalyptic.
it's quite bad, isn't it? Lime Rock is the worst track. No, it's
No,
not.
no, that's wrong.
No, it's not. It, there's too many good corners at Lime Rock for it to be a bad track. The
Barco
last
recently,
two corners are brilliant. And if you run it without the chicane, the corner on the hill is also brilliant. There's too many. There's not many corners, and yet they're great corners. Daytona, yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't like
it's not
Daytona,
brilliant.
but it's got some good racing. We've had some good AOLTC and BSRTC season finales there.
Yeah, racing's great. Racing's
Also,
legitimately great there.
Sam Kumin with a good shout, Kota. That is not a good driver circuit, but it's I think it's one of the best race circuits in the world.
I don't particularly like driving it. I quite like racing it. Any track where the Cayman GT4 tries to battle the TCRs, that's every day in the Michelin Pilot Series on iRacing. Belle Isle, no,
No, brilliant
probably
circuit,
not.
Belle
No,
Isle.
that's decent. That is.
Snetterton people don't like, even though
What's the most dangerous track on iRacing? Belle Isle.
yeah, I'd say this place.
This one's a bit more high speed than Belle Isle, isn't it? And that's why that's dangerous. As we see, this is Nicole Foggy attacking Mark Fletcher. Yeah, I don't like driving it, but I like racing on it because the racing is good. I would never choose to just hot lap it unless there was a competition or like a time trial competition or something. I wouldn't have a hot lap Kota because it annoys me. But I would always enter a race there because you're going to have a lot of fun.
Diego Mel is saying you don't like driving on it, but you like racing on it. My point is that driving it is horrible, and I don't like racing on it. However, I like commentating on races. Yeah.
Oh, you don't even like racing on it?
Oh no.
Not even if it's a good race. Oh, fair enough.
No, I can't remember the last time I even raced on that. As Nicole Foggy is trying to get past Mark Fletcher, he's going to go the long way around. We've already spoken about how Smooth works a decent amount of the time. The XVR driver around the outside. McFarlane too far off for Foggy and has to get out of the throttle. And remains in fourth place. By the way, Fletcher took much less fuel than Foggy, so yes. Thompson was stationary for 32 seconds, McFarlane 22, Fletcher 24, Foggy 31, and McClay 18. So big differences. The longer you're stationary for, the more fuel. So, by the way, you can get all those stats on the live timing link in the description.
Oh, there you go. Sorry about that. I was getting excited because Oscar Mangan and Ben Palmer and Billy Fletcher have all been in for their second pit stop, and Oscar Mangan is only 36 seconds off the lead. And Thompson has to pit again, which is going to be at least 40 seconds, at least. Dean Tim says the Jetta. Oh dear. I mean, hey, I've seen some great Jetta leagues. Ask Dennis. The Jetta is amazing in a league, in racing situations. But driving it's a bit meh, isn't it? The worst car to drive in iRacing, I think, is probably the worst car to drive in iRacing. I don't like driving the Cadillac. That's probably the worst one for me.
I've never driven the Cadillac.
It's quite hard, and I think that's probably why I don't like it.
Fletcher's going to have to go defensive again. This is a carbon copy of what we saw last time. Foggy.
Oh, yeah. This time he doesn't run quite as wide, but he still loses the grip.
this is bad for Foggy because he was running in second place earlier on, and the mole actually spends behind Fletcher. It's giving McFarlane hope that with that mega short first stint for mega short first pit stop for McFarlane, he might be able to get ahead of Foggy when the second pit stops are complete. You were saying about how 40 seconds at least in the pit stops. I'm a bit skeptical. I think the shortest pit stop we've had is 18 seconds. So
No,
I
but
think.
pit lane time.
Oh yeah, yeah, but
Pit lane,
I
shortest
think.
pit lane time so far was 39 seconds, and that was within only an 8-second pit stop.
Okay, yeah. Of course, what you got to remember as well is that
And yes, you're not
that's the
always
pit
losing
lane
time.
in.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I'd probably say 30 to 35 seconds. I think they're going to be losing when Thompson comes into pits because he's not going to need much fuel. He's probably going to need about 10 seconds of fuel when he heads on into the pits later on. And
Oh, the
yeah,
TCR is a fantastic car, and I won't hear anything against it. It's so much fun. Seriously, it's so much fun. If you get in a race with it, it's not the. I'll be honest, it's not the best car to drive around with and just do laps in. Of course, it isn't. But do a race in it. It's brilliant, 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 brilliant. It's a fantastic representation that iRacing have done as well. Steve Burke up the inside then of Matt Bunn, and just behind them you can see Kieran Chung and Simon Field. And he's coming back is Matt Bunn. Yeah, Matt Bunn staying ahead of Stephen Burke, and he's coming to the part of the track where he's had some difficulties so far. Front wheel drive doesn't belong on a race car, probably not, but you know, it's still good. Matt Bunn hit the curb there, Sam, and I think that might be the cause of some of his issues. If he's been hitting that a couple of times during the race, you want to avoid that with all costs, really.
yeah, that's the most tricky corner I'd say on this entire circuit. Very much unique as well. I can't quite make my decisions on whether it should be there. It'd be quite nice if they just banked that a little bit, which
Oh
would
yeah,
make it a lot more fun.
but the corner is quite challenging, I think, as it is, because it's the only true really slow corner on the circuit as well.
Yeah,
And I do think you need a slow corner on every track to at least test the drivers in a different way.
I'm a subscriber for very much characteristic circuits. So circuits which are just have fast corners, just have long straights, just have slow corners, or just tight and twisty. I quite like that one. Rather
Oh,
than,
what? So you'd rather have the track
I'd
with
rather have like
all
a
fast
Monza
corners?
followed by a Brands Hatch, rather than
Okay.
say, oh, I don't know,
Half and half circuit.
yeah, half and half.
What,
You know,
like
Tilke
Kota?
and Jones. Yeah, and yeah, Kota. But Kota does that all right, I think, because I know Kota is distinct in being so
Weird.
yeah, because it's got the fast flowing corners, it's got the two straights, and it's got the slow speed corner. It's so obvious that they are trying to do that. It's almost unique in its
Oh,
norms.
Simon Field trying to go past Stephen Burke there. He's got the move half done. It's up the inside into the corner we were just talking about. Yeah, there's not really a lot of grip on the outside, and Field should keep that place going into the second to last corner. Portimao is a good half and half track. Portimao's an excellent circuit, and I wish they put it on iRacing. A circuit that I would want on iRacing that does everything well, Sepang, I think is one of the best circuits in the world. And that's
circuit.
everybody forgets that's a Tilke circuit. They give Tilke a load of rubbish about his circuits being bad, but they're literally. I can't think of a bad Tilke circuit. I can't think of a bad
Sochi.
one. That's okay. Sochi's all right to drive. Sochi's all right to drive. Sochi's all right to drive.
Oh,
It's bad for
I don't
racing.
know.
It's bad for racing. It's like the anti. It's like the anti-Kota for me. I love driving Sochi. I just don't like. I don't like the racing. I think the racing's boring. Imola's very good. Yeah. But that's not. Yeah. So Sepang's a Tilke circuit. Bahrain, the racing's fantastic.
What about
That
India?
got a bad reputation because of one bad race that it had. India was an excellent circuit to drive. I'd say that the corners in that middle sector are amazing. That's got some good slow corners as well. Unfortunately, the idea of opening up the the entry to the slow corners didn't quite work as intended because of all the marbles. So when anybody tried to make a move there, they would go offline, put your dirt on the tires, and they would it wouldn't work. So nobody tried it. Zachary says, I think Monaco should be on iRacing. I think it should be too, but that would be almost impossible to scan because obviously it's public roads. The track's closed literally, I think, for pretty much the roads are closed for about a week a year for the historic Monaco and for the Grand Prix. So unless you can literally scan the whole track in what, Sam, a couple of hours, you're never going to be able to do it.
Yeah, and all the trackside objects as well, because famously Long Beach isn't on iRacing because of all the stuff that they'd have to follow around the circuit.
Well, it is. You can still race on it. We've done races on this channel
No,
with that track. It's very good.
Very good Halloween circuit. That it is freaky at night. That very good point made by Ashley Beard. Abu Dhabi. Do you like Abu Dhabi?
No.
You cannot. No, I think Abu Dhabi is one of the
don't.
unique circuits where there's not a single good corner.
That circuit annoys me because that is one where it's not. There's not. No. The first sector's all right. First sector's all right.
Oh,
Can't say that there's no good corners. I like the first sector. First corner's all right. The S's are good. Even that slow chicane's quite good. But then it just goes a bit rubbish. But my point is that circuit annoys me the most because they had literally a blank canvas and made a layout which is terrible for racing, I'm afraid. Thruxton and Croft should be on the service.
They can't, I think.
I think Croft definitely is. But I hope they bring those. I think they will one day. Budapest is a really good one. Again, the racing isn't great in Formula One, but it doesn't really matter. Red Bull Ring, that would be great. Hockenheim, 100%. 100% Hockenheim. And by the way, the new Hockenheim is 10 times better than the old Hockenheim. So much better. The other one was a spectacle, Sam. That's like your characteristic track, right?
Yeah.
And I loved watching races there. And I don't hate driving it, but the new one is so much better as a racing circuit. It's unbelievable.
I always was a big fan of South Korea. I think South Korea's got a really nice blend of corners, apart from the last bit, where you kind of go into those slow speed corners. I'd rather just aid high speed throughout.
Yeah, but you can hit the wall. You can hit the walls there. So I mean, to me, that's a good challenge because we saw quite a few people in the walls in those races. Lap 1, turn 6, Hockenheim would not be good. I completely agree. You see it in DTM. It's always a mess. It's always a mess at the first lap. Fuji's good. Adelaide, yeah. Fuji's good. Here's a good question for anybody on the chat who knows more about this than I do. Are there any good American circuits that aren't on the service?
Portland, maybe.
Good American circuits.
You don't like Portland?
Wow. Not particularly. Is that the one at the airport?
Yeah.
Nah, not really. St. Petersburg's okay.
Oh yeah.
That isn't bad. Melbourne, yes. I do recommend iRacing go make a trip down to Australia when this is all cleared up and go and get us Melbourne and Adelaide and maybe Simmons Plains and some of these ones.
Sandown.
Barbagallo. Sandown's good. Sandown is pretty frightening at times. It's a good circuit. It definitely is. I'm going to divert attention back to the race actually that's going on for now. But because we've got a couple of battles on the circuit, we didn't have anything for a while really, but we've got Fletcher and Foggy are very close together. And that was Josh Thompson there. We might as well show him a little bit as he's leading the race, but he just have to stop again, remember. But yeah, Fletcher just half a second ahead of Foggy, and he can't do anything about him at the moment. He tried a couple of times into the carousel, Sam, but no dice on those occasions.
Yeah, and maybe just happy to stay behind now. Maybe just thinking, well, Mark is decently quick anyway. I think he's a few tenths of a second a lap slower than McFarlane, but probably just needs to make sure that he maintains that second place. Mangan might be dangerous later on because we believe Mangan doesn't need to pit again, and they're only about 30 seconds clear of Mangan at the moment, so they might drop behind Mangan when they make their second pit stops later on. By the way, we're expecting those second pit stops for... Actually, it's going to be pretty soon for a few of the drivers. George McClay is into the pits now for his second stop, and he is back underway. McClay having a little bit of a tricky race at the moment. Of course, one of the front runners in the championship, third place in the championship. And Harrod, the championship leader, currently in the pits himself as well. Down into 15th place now is Pete Howard after a very long pit stop of 59.58 seconds. I wonder if there's a bit of an issue for Pete Howard, and he's just come in again. So his first pit stop was 59 seconds, and then he's just come into the pits again.
That was his second
for a
stop, though,
very
wasn't it?
short
That's,
pit
that's
stop.
mandatory second stop. So yeah, he'd only been in the pits once, mate. I think that's his duty of his second stop, I think.
Maybe. Can you take tyres and fuel? No, I guess you can't take tyres and fuel in these cars. So maybe he took tyres, unlike everyone else.
Just asking Dean Timms on the chat, actually. Utah, is that Miller? Is that Miller Motorsports Park, or is that a different place? Not sure. Sonoma, this series has gone to Sonoma in the past, I think. It was a while ago, I think, but I believe it has gone there. I do remember in the Formula Renault series that we ran when Adam Bath put Samuel Lebert into the pit lane entry at Sonoma. Oh,
keep your eyes out for the not the top 10 highlights that iRacing produce on the will probably be posted on the iRacing.com.
Oh, that's
YouTube
one of my favourite
channel.
videos.
I think you'll hear my voice on that in the next videos because around Sonoma we had a driver go off the circuit, go behind a barrier, then slip down a hill, get stuck in the barrier, and have to tow back to the pits. Which straight away from Alex Horn, who edits these videos, got a lol. And I have submitted them before, and they've never got a response before from Alex. So I think we might be in the top 3 for that, and I'll be getting my hands on some iRacing credits.
My favourite one that I've seen on the not top 10 highlights was when someone at the Nordschleifer spun off in the final sector and he got stuck in the old pit lane entry. But he got stuck sideways and he couldn't go anywhere. The car perfectly just fit in the sideways in the opening. He couldn't go forwards or backwards. Couldn't even do the Austin Powers. He was just stuck there. Here's, we're on board with Ben Gregory, and this is a battle for position with Dennis Melchett. So Diogo Melro, hopefully you've got the popcorn out, mate. Watching Dennis in action. The medical car. This series should go to Talladega. No, thank you. I don't think
so. Is there a road course at Talladega?
There is a Talladega. I think. Oh, now then, that's a good question.
It's on iRacing though.
I would have to check that, but I'm not confident in that. But no, I wouldn't really want to go there unless there is a. Well, if there's a road course, cool. I do like Rovals. I'm quite a fan of Rovals. I'm a fan of strange Roval circuits. Is it New Hampshire that goes out behind the grandstand and comes back in?
Yes, the outfield.
That one's brilliant. Anything that does anything strange like that it's great. Oh, look at
Gregory,
that! Oh, Ford going
inside.
wide.
Still got to pit, by the way, is Gregory, whereas we think Melchett should be able to get to the end of the race. Last pitted on lap 40, so yeah, we'll be able to get to the end of the race absolutely fine. But remember, Gregory was a lap behind at one point, so you might catch up by the end of the race, but he needs to get past now, build up a gap, and then when he does pit later on, he'll be within catching range of the driver ahead. Melchett staying in there, though.
Still going.
As well, he's been fighting with everyone so far today as Dennis, but a poor exit from that section of corners, and now these lapped cars or these lap ahead cars are moving past. That is George McClay and Ethan Bass. Also, McClay already getting both of his pit stops done. If we ended it like this, with Howard running in 19th place, we might have a change of lead in the championship. With
Yeah, it's going to be
Elka as well,
close.
of course, out of the race. He was in second place in the championship. I think McClay would move up. Palmer is doing. Oh no, Palmer's a little bit further down, isn't he? After a couple
13th.
of issues, Palmer was on course for a podium earlier on. He was ahead
Well,
of.
Palmer,
Palmer
he's
was with
only
Mangan,
he's only 2.5 seconds behind the battle that we're looking at, actually.
but I
I
think
think
he's
if
still got to pit.
there he is, in fact. So Ben Palmer still is going along quite decently after the early problems that he had. John Ajus is in 14th place. We've not really seen him today. The Maltese driver in the BMW.
Apologies, but Palmer doesn't need to pit again. So yeah, no, he is in a vacant place, isn't he? If he could beat
Yeah,
McClay,
3 stops.
that would be big if he could beat McClay. And he's on that last lap just did a oh, I can't even find him now on the order. 45.16, which is about matching McClay. We need to get past this traffic nice and quick.
The winner of the how many pit stops can we get in one race award goes to Simon Field with 4 at the moment. And that tells you all you need to know about his race, really. Although he is up 6 places from where he started, so not doing too badly. And he's still battling away with Matt Bunn here. 2 very experienced competitors. Now, Dean Timms has said Yas Marina Bay. That's 2 different circuits. But one or both at night would definitely be awesome. I would agree with that. But they are 2 different tracks. Macau, yes, but again the scanning's going to be an issue. Rockingham in England, I would say. Is that Rockingham in England or Rockingham in America? Because Rockingham in America is on the service, but I don't know about the Roval. Rockingham in England has been scanned, I think, but isn't on the service as of yet. But that's another track that's in disuse now. So, you know, they've just done North Wilkesboro. Oran Park was put on the service after it was demolished. So it's possible. This is about for second.
Yeah, it is now for second place after McFarlane's coming to the pits and Fletcher lets that one go. Could have let that one go earlier on, to be fair, could have Mark, because these guys are in different races with Fletcher going to need significantly more fuel later on. But I think Foggy realising now he's got to play some heavy laps in order to stay ahead of McFarlane when Foggy makes his pit stop. McFarlane was only stationary for 14 seconds, which gives us an indication. I mean, Foggy's going to be stationary for barely any time. We've only got 14 minutes left of this race. It's absolutely flown by. Thanks for everyone who's tuned in. You've made this one pretty fun for us. We don't usually interact with the chat too much, but no, it's been good.
And thus, I think that Thompson, by extension, is in a good position as well, because as the laps have ticked by, his pit stop has got shorter and shorter, and it's going to be very close. It's a good indication. He's looking at the pit stop of Ross McFarlane, which is 13.9 seconds stationary, 45 seconds pit lane time. Josh Thompson, I believe, will keep the lead when he comes in over Oscar Mangan. It might be fairly close, but then he's going to probably just have a bit of a pace advantage. Who knows?
Well,
Mark Fletcher is in for his final stop, as you mentioned.
McFarlane's ahead of Mangan, so if McFarlane's ahead of Mangan, then I think Thompson will be alright as well. Mangan might be ahead of Fletcher. Fletcher is now stationary, should be stationary for another 6 seconds or so, but this could be close, and this is for what will be P4 in this race, which would be quite a miracle recovery for Mangan. Fletcher is going down the pit lane at the moment, and he's going to cut turn 1, but I think Mangan's going to be close enough for a move perhaps by the end of the back straight, because Fletcher is painfully slow, but Mangan's just a little bit too far behind. I don't think he's going to catch him in time.
He's catching, and he'll pick up the slipstream soon, but yeah, not in time to challenge at the end of this lap. But he's going to have at the end of this straight, sorry. But he's going to have the momentum of the warmer tyres. He won't have necessarily the better tyres, of course. So I said that the tyres, he hasn't changed the tyres. What am I on about?
Yeah, neither of them changing tyres so far.
Nashville, is that a road course? I think it might be a road course. If it is, they haven't done it. If it's an oval, I've not seen it before, so yeah, maybe. who knows? You have to see what the iRacing guys have. I'm sure they'll do more American circuits soon. They've been doing a lot of the dirt ovals and things like that. They've started doing some tracks for the Rallycross as well, for the stadium trucks and things like that. Jonna Juice and Stephen Burke, 20th place fight.
Yeah, Burke's constantly been fighting with drives around this range. Still got to pit actually is Burke, whereas the Juice has made his second pit stop already. They're by themselves as well. They're 10 seconds back up to Simon Underhill. We had a big crash earlier on, did Underhill, but I think Burke just struggling with that front end damage, probably affecting his straight line speed, although he seems to be all right at the moment. The Juice does get within passing range. But not quite close enough. Draycott just behind these drivers. 1 lap behind, of course.
Yeah, that's Matt Draycott, of course. And
Yes.
Chaz Draycott, a word on him. Mr. Chaslington himself, 26th place.
It's not
After being-
Chaslington.
Oh, but it's always going to be Chaslington. His company's not called that anymore, but you know, he is. Yeah, and well, he's been to space, so he's done better than any of us recently. 200 viewers watching. Well, thank you very much, everybody. This is great to it's great to have you with us here on the iRacing eSports Network. Andrew Woodhouse, Sam Fitzpatrick, Sam Kumo, bringing you the action for Apex Racing TV. And we've had a lot of fun tonight, Sam, haven't we? Like the race has been okay. It certainly has been okay. Broken up quite a lot at the beginning, of course, but yeah, we've enjoyed interacting with the chat tonight. We don't get a chance to do it on the 20-minute races because there's just so much going on, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. No, it's been good to discuss what's so. I think everyone has opinions, don't they, on race tracks and on iRacing generally. So good to share everyone's opinions on this.
This is a good battle.
Harrod, got to get the slipstream from the driver ahead. I mean, he should be able to pull away from me. I think he recently got past. But Harrod has taken tyres, as we're in the barbecue cam now. He has taken tyres, says Harrod, after a very long first pit stop. At least that's what we believe. He may have got a penalty for unsafe pit entry, perhaps. He's just under 45.76. Not sure if that's his ultimate pace, Harrod, or whether that was just because he was overtaking some lap drivers. But his championship lead is definitely put in jeopardy. He was in 7th place, I believe, at the halfway stage of the event, which is going to give him a few points.
No,
but he needs to get back up into the top 10 or something. I mean, top 10 is a long way away, half a minute up the road. Can maybe see him getting up to Stephen McCaffrey for 15th, but I think that'll be as high as he gets.
he needs to really get a move on though. He's only got 9 minutes and the final lap to go. Everyone else need to come into the pits fairly soon. I mean, not that many laps left to take your second mandatory pit stop, and Mark Woodhouse is one of those in the Team Mad car. He's currently in 9th place. See on the screen the pit stops. Yeah, and it's gone well for Woodhouse so far. I think he'll come out, Sam, anywhere between probably Stephen McCaffrey and the battle we were just watching. So about anywhere between about 15th and 19th will probably be where Woodhouse ends up. But I'll tell you what, he's got a clean car still. It's looking pretty good. Yeah, it's not gone bad for him.
Yeah, he was up loads of places earlier on. I mean, he is still up 29 places. Maybe fallen back a little bit since
just
the
29.
Just the 29.
Mike Gray's had a cracking race as well, 32 places. I know we talked about Bibby earlier on, but not talked about Gray. Wonderful performance.
Gray's going to struggle to get to the end of the race. He's already done 20 laps, but I guess he'll be all right. So that'll be about 26 laps he'll have to do on a single tank, which is just about enough. That's about 40 minutes, isn't it? And you can go 45 minutes on a tank of fuel. So
most of them pitted on 27. Although Ben Gregory pitted his first lap pit stop, I think, was 29. So yeah,
it'll be close, but I'm sure Mike, being the intellect that he is, has got this one planned out.
I think he knows what he's doing.
Wonder what the Pro-Am Championship will be doing. So we did have Horder at the top of the stand. Horder's still going, isn't he? Obviously,
Ford is in 14th place.
oh yeah. Jeez, how did I miss that? There he is. Yeah, so he will keep the championship lead. Ethan Bass was in second place going into this round. So Bass
Thompson's in
is
the pit, Sam.
outscoring him as Thompson is into the pits. It should be all quite simple for Thompson as long as he hasn't messed up the pit entry
Now
and
we
will be
will
stationary for about 5 seconds, or I imagine.
lose the lead to Foggy,
Mm.
but only momentarily.
McFarlane in the I think the third to final corner at the moment, but Thompson will barely be stationary. Here we are, 6 seconds
Oh yeah,
stationary and back underway. So he's still got probably about 15 seconds over McFarlane.
yeah, good strategy there by Josh Thompson. He's made that work very nicely indeed. And yeah, Luke getting the minimal losses at the end of the 5.9 second pit stop. Very good indeed. Oh, it's Fletcher, Billy Fletcher,
And
as
that's the lead gone.
of
Pro-Am
the
lead.
AM category, yeah, Pro-Am category, sorry, yeah. Oh, and it's into what we're still going to start calling Matt Bunn's corner, I think. Oh, it's just boots it coming out of there. The traction control fails him, and around he goes. I would have expected the traction control to save that, mate.
Yeah. Of course, these tires are really old now, 100 minutes old. That might have something to do with it, but you're absolutely right. That's what the traction control is for, and it's failed him on that occasion.
Well, very quickly, Brendan Kennedy on the chat. Can anyone tell me what's happened so far? I can very quickly, yes. We've got 5 minutes to go out of 105 minutes, but I'll do my best. 3 safety cars at the start, track blocked 3 times with crashes. Quite a number of drivers off strategy, so some had an advantageous strategy. Josh Thompson looks like he's probably going to take the win here. He's just made his last pit stop of the day. Nicole Foggy's leading the way at the moment, but he's still got to pit one more time. But yeah, we've had quite a bit of chaos early on. We've had some good overtaking in the middle of the race. Yeah, I mean, I think, Sam, to be honest, since the third safety car, I'd say the driving standards have been very good. It was just at the very beginning that it was difficult.
Yeah, we saw one incident, didn't we, down at turn 2
Yeah.
at one point, but that was pretty much about it. And yeah, the driving standards have been quite good. It's a shame when you have so many of the drivers whittled down, especially a couple of their championship contenders, unfortunately not taking part in this race due to the early incidents. I mean, it is quite memorable when we get some safety cars, especially 3 in a row as we saw. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
No, the most I've ever had to do is 2 before today.
And it would have been interesting to see how some of the other front runners could have taken it to these guys, but still, Foggy I think was always going to be able to win out. I guess sorry, Thompson was going to win out. Foggy will probably come into the pits on this lap. Perhaps it's going to be tight between him and McFarlane. It's tight between Mangan and Fletcher. Fletcher getting the position recently at the pit stop. Of course, Mangan had to come in for came in for repairs earlier on and for an alternative strategy, which I'm pretty sure was the way to go. But he can't get past Fletcher, who defended brilliantly against Foggy earlier on. And with 3 minutes to go, only 2 more laps to go, I believe. I think the odds on are probably on the year 1 driver.
Yeah, and just for the record as well, yeah, all 3 safety cars were probably within the first 10 laps at the beginning.
Oh, well, they're all one after the other, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't complete. We completed 3 corners of racing 3 times, I think, and then but since then it's been perfect. Foggy in then for his stop. Thompson's gone through into the lead. We'll just see if Foggy gets out in front of Ross McFarlane. It's going to be close, but I think McFarlane is most likely going to do it. Oh, it will be close, Sam.
Foggy, who was ahead earlier on, remember, before the first pit stop, got held up by Fletcher. And McFarlane, though, still behind by about a second. Could maybe close that gap. He'll be faster down this back straight now. Gap will go down to, I think, about 7/10 of a second by the time they get into the carousel. But it's certainly looking good for Foggy now to take away that second place. And McFarlane trying to make up some points in the championship. He came into this round, McFarlane, in 6th place. I almost ruled him out. I think after this round, he will be back into the mix. As there goes
Oh, look
Mangan
at
on
this.
Fletcher. That was ever so tight with Fletcher squeezing him to the inside of the circuit. Fletcher maintains alongside,
Oh, they
almost
bang
even a
wheels.
contact, I think, between the two of them. And into the chute, Fletcher has the advantage. Mangan just cannot find a way past, but you know that there's going to be a couple more tricky laps for Fletcher, as I believe the next lap will be the last lap of the race. It will be.
Yeah, I think so. And this battle's going to rage until the very checkered flag. We see that. Fletcher versus Mangan then. And Mangan having a little look, pulling out of the slipstream just to maybe try and distract Mark Fletcher into mistake. It's amazing how many times, Sam, we've seen drivers get scared off the track really like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't want to, well, yeah, trying to intimidate your rival. Thompson now crosses the line. It's surprisingly close. The top 5, only 19 seconds separating them. We're going to get an interview with Thompson after the race because he was half a second faster in qualifying. Seemed to be absolutely dominant in the early stages, but I mean, 13.5 seconds. That's small for Josh Thompson with the level that he's been performing at recently. Mangan, I was about to say runs wide there. I'm not sure if that was a wide for him. We saw one of the drivers in the isolation event earlier on in the F3 cars driving across the grass at that corner. Every single lap, he won the race. None of the drivers opting for that strategy so far today. But Mangan just right in the draft. This is going to be close for him. He wants Fletcher to at least have to move offline as he isn't close enough for a dive into the carousel, and that might be his best chance gone.
Good overspeed there for Mangan, but not able to get a an opening. But Josh Thompson, Sam, he's coming into the last sector of the track and he's going to take the win.
Yeah, after winning at the halfway points as well, he got nearly perfect points back at Daytona a few rounds ago, a second and a first on that occasion, but there's been no doubt saying where he was going to finish both of these splits today. The only Audi driver in the top 15 places, but that doesn't matter for him. It's been another fantastic performance for the Williams eSports driver as he rounds the final corner and he's going to take the final endurance meeting of the season in the World GT Championship. Josh Thompson wins here at Watkins Glen. Round 14 of the championship goes to him. Nicole Foggy is going to finish in 2nd place. Hard-earned 2nd place to beat Ross McFarlane. That will be your podium. And Mark Fletcher, good defense from Fletcher, will beat Mangan. Probably out of the championship is Fletcher, but still, that's one of his best meetings in the past couple of months. Bibby is going to be up 30 places, and Mike Gray will finish not too far behind him. Bibby will finish in 6th place and keep his championship chances alive, although he's pretty slow across the line here. He might be beaten by Gray. He is going to be beaten by Gray. He
Nice
takes
run
him
out of
right
fuel.
at the end. And Bibby only finishes in 7th place. Gray and McClay get past. Now, maybe that was a strategy from Bibby to let McClay pass for the points.
Could
Perhaps
be,
in the
and that would be smart.
championship. Because Bibby's down in 8th place, McClay in 3rd. So perhaps that was the strategy. But that means that Gray scores even more points in that 6th place in the Pro-Am standings. And despite coming into this round of the championship a bit further down the standings, 7th place going into this round of the title, I think Gray's going to be in with a chance going into the final round of the season. Billy Fletcher having a struggling run. Craig Jones, by the way, wins the amateur category. He was 1 lap down, but Jones already the amateur class leader in the championship, and I think he's got one hand on that championship now. His drop score is some in fact it doesn't even, oh no, it will come up for him if I just look for him, but I think his drop score is all right for Jones. No, in fact it's actually a 0 score for Jones, so he will have to finish for Jones in the final round of the championship at Imola next week, but as long as he does finish, that should be enough points for him to take the amateur championship. So no, it's been a great race at Watkins Glen. Soon we're going to get some interviews with the drivers as well.
Indeed. Okay. Well, maybe we can't get any interviews with the driver. Maybe we could get one.
Yeah, we'll probably
Get
have a
one.
couple of interviews.
I'll have
Because
a word with Ethan Bass actually, because he won the. Well, he didn't win the AMP category today, but he does gain a lot of points in his championship battle today. Ethan, welcome to the commentary box, mate. See you doing the donuts there on the screen. You've gained a lot of points in the championship battle today. How do you feel?
I feel like I've survived a war.
I think there's been less painful wars, to be honest. I think that war between Honduras and El Salvador was probably less painful than this. But but no, you got through the safety car periods. What was your view of those accidents in the opening laps? Can't hear you, Ethan.
Yeah.
There you go. I can hear you now.
Yeah,
what was your?
I had an interruption. Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah. What was your view of the incidents in the opening laps? Can you tell us about that?
I was behind a bunch of them. I had to slow a lot, and the first one I literally had to come to a stop because the track was completely blocked. I avoided the carnage in that one. Wasn't so lucky in the second one. I can't remember who was in front of me. Someone ended up on the roof in front of me. I got a bit of damage, which actually affected a lot of the strategy for the next part of the race. And then the third one, I managed to escape cleanly as well. So that's how that went.
Great stuff. We're a little bit pushed for time, so we're not going to keep you too long, because we do want to get a word with Josh Thompson as well. But you go into next week's race in quite a strong position. Do you think you can take the title?
I'll definitely give Horder a run for it. I don't know where he ended up, and then it's a case of.
He finished 19th in the end.
Okay, and I'm hoping I'm okay with the rules because we had a message say it was a mandatory 2 stops, but I didn't actually need to do that second stop right at the end. I had enough fuel, but I took it just in case.
Yeah, no, you were correct. You would have been disqualified, I think, if you didn't. So well done.
I'll pit box before the line.
There we go.
I'll give up the place to Palmer. I don't mind to.
Well, Ethan Bass then. Well, thanks for joining us, mate, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Okay, thanks very much, and I'll see you at Imola.
Cheers.
I love that. That's Shumi 94, isn't it?
98 written.
98. Apologies, you're absolutely right. One of the few things that didn't happen in 94. So let's see if he gets a penalty for that because Shumi did kind of got a penalty on that occasion. Josh Thompson is now with us in the commentary box. Josh, congratulations. I mean, I asked you when you were listening along to the stream earlier on, and I'll ask you again. I mean, have you been able to look back at what happened on those starts behind you?
Unfortunately not, which is a shame. I needed to go look back for Oscar with an incident what happened with gaps under the pace car, so unfortunately not. Luckily enough I caught 2 of the incidents on the stream by watching it back under the safety car, which is quite useful, but yeah, couldn't actually go back fully.
How were you finding it on the restart? Because we've seen it in various series, cold tyres, up that hill, it's tricky. But Craig, who you get a few tips from on the set stuff, he was saying how to kind of avoid those issues on the first lap. I mean, did you have any problems with the tyres on that opening lap?
Lucky enough, I knew from experience back when the time model first came out, one of the weeks in IMSA at Road America. I did a lot of weaving then, and the car was dreadful the first lap, and a lot of people were spinning. And then I did another race where I didn't do the weaving, I had no issues. And I think that's what a lot of people assume, like what Craig was saying in the chat. If you warm the front up, you're still going to have no rear. And through there, it's the rotation at high speed, which is going to be the rear end, what's going to have to cause that. And obviously, if you're going too wide or you're slightly offline, it's so easy to do. I think on my second restart, I nearly lost it. I think the same one when Oscar dropped it. I did the exact same thing, but lucky enough, just held on to it.
We've got one more round of the championship remaining, because unfortunately you're not in the championship hunt, it seems. I said right at the top of the broadcast how you could be a little bit tricky for some of the championship rivals. I mean, does that enter your mind at all when it comes to Imola? Because I mean, if you got involved in a collision, or even if you just beat another driver and knock them down a pace, that could decide the title. I mean, you've got a lot of power in your hands.
Yeah, I hope that doesn't happen now you said that. that's a definite jinx. When you're racing, obviously I know there's a championship on the line, and I would love to be in the fight again. Just not gone my way in this season. But obviously I'm still here. I'm not going to just pull over and let everyone through who's in contention for a championship, because then there's no point of racing in that aspect. So lucky enough, I can race them quite well. So hopefully there'll be no issues and have a great race at Imola.
And also, of course, quite a few people on social media, I'm sure, would have seen the news that you signed with Williams eSports. I mean, congratulations. I mean, what were your thoughts on that move?
Yeah, pretty much a dream move. Obviously, being on the service now, I think 4 years. Obviously, Apex was the first team I ever joined, main team. So without them, I wouldn't have even started in the competitive scene. But yeah, the Williams move, it took a lot of effort and a lot of work. A lot of people don't realize how much work I put in behind the scenes before that even got anywhere near happening. So yeah, I'm pretty happy and blessed to be in this position now. So I've just got to keep going forward and keep putting performances like this on the board.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on that move. Congratulations on the race win. Is there anyone you'd like to thank before we say goodbye?
Yeah, so you guys again for the broadcast. Thank you, and great as always. Helped under the pace car for a few laps. Obviously, all the admins of World GT, and then the sponsor for Williams, so Chill Blast, Razor, BenQ, Playseat, Fanatec, and One All Sports.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, Josh, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers, guys.
Okay, we're going to have one more interview, and I think we're going to have a chat with Mike Gray. So apologies to Nicole Foggy, because he did finish in second place, but finishing top of the Pro-Am drivers is Mike Gray. Congratulations, Mike. I mean, when you started in 40th place, long odds for you finishing in the top 6, but how was it from your perspective, those first 10 laps or so with all the safety cars?
Well, it started as an absolute nightmare, to be honest. On the first safety car, I'd knocked my engine map down to try and save some fuel. Gap dropped a long way back, so I just put the engine map back up and just gunned it. And I was looking at my top monitor and I hit the wall. So I had to go in, quick repair. And then on the third one, I thought I'll just go in now and top my fuel up and change my tyres. And so I only pitted once in the race, but twice as you're supposed to. So I just picked up places when people were in the pits. So an amazing night it ended up to be.
Absolutely. I mean, so that second pit stop then, or the pit stop behind the safety car. So were you thinking, hang on, this will help me out later on, or was that just a bit of fortune?
I can't say that was good thinking by me. It was just luck, really.
Well, it certainly was a fantastic call, and now we head into the final round of the championship with the points close. He came into this round in 7th place in the championship, but it's so close in that Pro-Am, and with Mike Horder not having a fantastic round. From your calculations, do you have a chance at Imola to nick the championship?
I think I'd need a lot of luck, but I mean, it can happen, so I'll just give it my best and see what happens.
Well, we certainly wish you the best of luck for that one, Mike. Before we let you go, is there any shouts-outs you'd like to give to anyone?
Yeah, yourselves for the broadcast, everyone who runs the championship, and everyone at XVR Sim Race.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having a chat, and we'll see you back on Monday.
See ya.
That was Mike Gray, your Pro-Am winner for XVR Racing. Woody, it's that time of the season, the championship finale. We always love a championship finale, and on this series, it takes a while. It's about a 4 or 5 month championship, and it all comes down to this. And we're going to be heading into Imola pretty much with a dead heat between 3 or 4 drivers. You couldn't write a better setup for the final round of the championship.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic, isn't it? And obviously, we want everybody who's watched tonight to come back and join us for that. And it's going to be great. Incidentally, there is talk that Ethan Bass pitting on the last lap might potentially be invalid, so might get a penalty or worse for that. So, might not go too well for him. There you go.
Yeah, that could be a big change for Ethan Bass. Hopefully he's okay with that. But we'll see what the stewards decide. Thanks for tuning in. It's been a fun one, this broadcast, and certainly do tune in for the final round of the championship as well next Monday. If you've enjoyed this video, please do leave a like on it. Of course, subscribe to Apex Racing TV, subscribe to the iRacing eSports network as well, because there's loads of action coming up soon. On Thursday, for example, Thursday evening, we've got the return of the ARLTC after a break week. We are back in that championship for round 7 of the season, getting closer and closer to the showdown round. So that's going to be a big one. That'll be in TCR cars, and that'll be on at 19 GMT on Thursday evening. And of course, do check out Apex Racing TV social media as well on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So we would mega appreciate if you could follow us on all those different platforms. But for now, from me, Sam Fitzpatrick, from Andrew Woodhouse, and from Sam Kume, we're going to say goodbye, and we will see you next time.